Pub Sports Radio is very excited to announce the dates for Pubapalooza 4. The most exciting weekend of the gambling year. Round 1 of March Madness. It's all going down in San Antonio, Texas at the Southtown 101, Thursday the 20th till Sunday the 23rd. It's going down, baby.
Scheduled events every day that weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's all going down in Southtown 101. Come hang out with some of your favorite Pub Sports Radio personalities.
Ooh, I can't wait. Meet us in Texas, baby. It's going down.
Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for Pub Sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here, Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Your membership to Gold, you will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Matt Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! Here he goes. There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Here, oh, look at Nuss Flush Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Ken. Kenny Ken wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donut Silks make a run? Can Res Mall make a run to be $50?
You son of a bitch!
Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Ken, Smoke and Mirrors, Director 97 home. That is here comes Jason Meyer, the other auto custodian. Billy Friedrich, Joe's one, they're all coming down to the finish.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
Cherry Sports handicapper, more dapper than a dom. For the young phenom, known as Jimmy, who declared one day that the bag was here to stay. Information like a PSA, when we all PSR, Pub Sports Radio, Bizarre. Is a man named Slaughter, and he flipped the script. No competition in this but they quit the trip. But we say we be pubbing, better with the bag and you love it. We want it top 10, we above it.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio. He's Jimmy the Bag. I'm Peter Loshak. We're going to do this every Tuesday for a while. It's fun as hell. I think I had a slight losing day last week, but that's okay. You have the winners and the losers. I'm talking about in my official plays in the show, Jimmy the Bag. We got the fucking Super Bowl coming up this weekend. That's exciting. I love that. I love the Super Bowl. We got the break for NHL, so that's interesting. Of course, you got the stretch run in college basketball, which I love. It's a great, once again, great time to be involved in sports betting, Jimmy the Bag.
It is. I had a messed up week. I crushed it with you on Tuesday, up just under 8 units on the show. And then I gave it all back on Wednesday and Thursday, and then had a decent day on Friday. I think I actually gave it back in more. I had a horrible Wednesday and Thursday. I was just a monster day with you, which
yeah, I mean, the losses will come, and especially in college basketball. It seems like every day I have 8 or 10 big bets. I hope that 6 or 7 or maybe 8 of them win, and 2 or 3 of them or 4 of them lose. I look back at those bets and I say, should I have made those bets? Should I have bet them that big? Usually I say yes. Sometimes I say no, though. It just kind of happens with your bets on Wednesday and Thursday. When you look back on it, do you believe that you may overbet them, or that you made wrong decisions in some way?
No, I didn't overbet them, but I think I came in overly confident. I think that was a problem. I think it's whenever I heat up, I feel like I can't miss.
And that is over. Like when we're handicapping college basketball, some team that's off a huge win, we're like, they're going to come in overly confident and shit the bed. The next game, we handicap that. We bet it. We know it's true with other people. Why would we not expect it to be true for ourselves?
No, that's true, and I'm much better at handling it now than I was, years ago. Also, I had a great October through January run, which made me in a comfortable place with my bankroll. Speaking of the Super Bowl, we are so excited about our Super Bowl videos coming out. We've had 25 cappers send in their looks, so we're going to cut it into sides, totals, player props, and possibly SGPs. It's a very difficult task for Jose, but I'm so excited to see what we end up with all the cappers giving out their goods. So thank you to everybody who sent in their Super Bowl action. I made my Super Bowl bets last night, Peter. I locked in. I am in for the Super Bowl, and I'm pretty excited. I got the Eagles plus 2.5, minus 114. I thought that was an incredible price. It was like 17 cents more expensive offshore at the sharpest offshores. I got this.
Yeah, I do think that, I'm not saying Eagles are the right side, but I do believe that they will. If you like the Chiefs, probably you can get a better line close to kickoff.
Well, that's very sharp offshore that we talk about so often, and now we're partnered up with the legal American sports books. But that very sharp offshore is down to a 1, a minus 106, 1 either way. So I'm also on the under 49. I got that regular VIG at minus 110. That was 9 cents more expensive offshore. So I was a little surprised at that. And I was going to just bet them a unit each, but I did 1.33 units each. So that's just 400 on each. I put $100 fun bet on overtime. Plus 900, just a fun, a little fun rec bet. I put a fun little rec bet on safety. Or no, sorry, a 2-point conversion. Plus 260, just a little rec bet. And then my SGP is in. SGP is in. I have a plus 1,100 SGP. Let me pull it up here, but I can remember it. And what I liked about the SGP, Pete, is it has nothing to do with my side or total.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want, I kind of want, if one of those goes wrong, I didn't want that to affect here.
Sure.
Now, it's possible. Now, I did bet this, and I put it into, instead of sending it in, I put it in here at 365 just because we want to talk about it during the game. Now, they're probably going to offer us some sort of boost or some sort of something, and I'll just cash out and rebet it with the boost when it's available. But I wanted it in So this is it. It's a Saquon touchdown, Jalen Hurts touchdown. Both teams to score 20 plus, which is sort of a hedge on my under 49, even though I still think that both can cash. Over 1.5 field goals and a successful 2-point conversion. That's 11-1.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, obviously, when it comes to same game parlays like that, the odds that you're getting are paramount. It's all that matters. But everything you just said makes a lot of sense to me, Jim.
I'm excited. So I'm ready to rock. I can't wait. We'll have our live stream here. I know a lot of people are going to be at Super Bowl parties, but I've already had cappers like the Nuke Worker, the cappers who don't want to be at a party where people will be talking to them. They just want to focus on the game. Nuke Worker going to be rocking with me. Jose going to be here on the show rocking with me. We have 55 games we're going to attempt to break down on today's show. It's a massive, massive undertaking. We're going to have to move quick. So we should get into that within 2 minutes. Shout out to the cappers rocking with us. Rem Most in the house. We have Billy Friedrich, Kent State, first half -3 here for the Pig Milk play of the day. 2 losses in a row. He's still up 15.43 units of Pig Milk. I also, Peter, now this has made me a little nervous. The last 2 times I've been very confident in my NHL card, I've been crushed. And so I'm afraid to say it, but I'm very confident in this NHL card.
Really?
I've made 10 bets.
Wow.
Bets. I've invested heavily on the NHL. Oh,
I felt the opposite way. Usually I have a few bets on the NHL. So when you have a huge card, I usually have a bunch of bets. Aside from Edmonton, I got nothing.
Oh, this was screaming at me. There's so many spots screaming at me.
Okay.
Now, I hate to say this, but I feel like the caveat is needed that the last 2 times I was this confident on a card, it didn't go my way at all. So I almost didn't want to mention it, but I am really confident. There's spots I really like. No, it's just all 1 unit a pop. But there were a couple spots where I thought about, maybe adding to it, and I pulled back. But there's spots that I absolutely love, and I can't wait to talk about it. And we'll be as fast as possible. There's Wine Time Sports in the house. I just copied and pasted Justin McKelvey's action and Gerald Jones's action. Shout out to Gerald Jones. His granddaughter Mila had a birthday on the 31st, the same date as my mom. So shout out to you, Gerald Jones, and your granddaughter Mila. T Moss ready to go. Abdi ready to get to work. Spoons bets. Morgan Spooner, what a monster Spooner is. He's been doing Friday shows with us. Phenomenal. Must follow on X. Must watch him on our shows. He's doing Friday shows. We have a big Friday card this week. Shout out to Morgan Spooner. Nutflush Allen in the house. I've been watching him just destroy NHL. He went. So I got crushed. What was it? I got crushed on. I had an okay day on Friday. I got crushed on Saturday and then had a very strong day on Sunday. Not nearly as strong as Nutflush. Nutflush hit a plus 900. He hit a plus 475. He was just destroying. Series business in the house. Saturated the sweaty butcher. And Morgan Spooner's bets are in. I'm going to copy and paste that.
I'm copying and pasting too. Go ahead.
In here. Let's get that locked and loaded. I just want to give a couple more shouts out, and then let's get right into NHL. Again, for you guys, now, it always makes me nervous, and this happens about 10 times a year, when 5,000 letters is not enough for me to put our schedule out. That always makes me very concerned. So I had to cut where the games are being played, and I had to cut the cities in NHL and NBA just to fit it into the description. So we got to work as fast as possible. Billy Friedrich says also, I need to know who is Pete taking the NFL confidence pool. Pete about to become to win another tournament here on Pub Sports Radio. He, of course, won our first ever Cappers contest. Crystal Craig, great to see you. A Red Beard, Kong's Clips, his play of the day is Houston first half. That's funny because if Baylor hadn't have beaten Kansas, I would be, I'm thinking of Texas Tech, Baylor, Texas Tech. I got that all wrong. Sorry. I'm thinking, because I'm very interested in Baylor today and Kong expecting to bounce back from Houston, which makes perfect sense. Nutflush says, can we still put a play in for the Super Bowl? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But we literally will need it by 3 p.m. Eastern. Like, we'll need it in the next 4 hours. So if anybody still wants to get in, because we have a 25 cappers lock in, yes, you can, but it needs to be in as soon as possible because it's sort of past the deadline. Nasty Nate in the house, DC capper, New Orleans plus 11.5, Philadelphia plus 9.5. Excellent work, DC. I was on the Sixers with you, but not New Orleans, unfortunately. We got Slatsy ready to go. He's moved on 2 spots, 14-game NHL slate. Everybody pumped up about this NHL slate. I love capping NHL with you. Pete, as I've said, the history of Pete and I working together, he reading the capper, studying the lines, studying the breakdowns, will have a better record than me at the end of everything. So it's going to be very,
and we talk about it a lot, even in investment and everything. The analysts and the actual money managers are 2 often separate, skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Res Mob ready to get to work. Viper NB. Andrew G said Edmonton, Vegas are screaming at me. Same here. Vegas is a smash and grab. The Islanders will lose out. Here before the Four Nations. Picks from Dave in the house. Thank you guys for joining us. Eldorado Custodian, Timos. Let's get to work and just hammer away.
NHL?
NHL will go as fast as we can. Pete's going to set these up, so let's roll.
I would love to give shout outs to it, but I can't. Not going to. I'm copying pasting stuff, and I'll just say one thing: the difference from my non-expert NHL analysis here is that between Edmonton and Vegas is that Edmonton's freaking awesome, and Vegas, I don't know, maybe they are, and something I don't know, but they don't.
Oh, they're not awesome.
Get it second. They are.
They're not awesome. No.
Vegas. No, they're not. Okay. All right. So first game on the card, Minnesota, Boston. This is another tricky one. I've had a pretty good read on Boston ever since they made the coaching change when betting totals and sides and stuff. I did have them in their bounce back in their last game as a home dog against the Rangers. I had them there. So here they're a small home favorite against Minnesota. Minnesota, trying to get some life back to their season. They won their first 3 games on the road trip. The last one, though, was a shutout loss. And Kaprizov's still not coming back from Minnesota, so they're not going to have him. And so you got Minnesota, last game of the trip, I believe, on a off a shutout loss. And Boston, kind of an up and down team, off a nice win, but then off of 2 kind of big embarrassing losses. And I haven't bet it yet, but my lean was definitely to Boston.
I'm on the Minnesota Wild here. This line's moving in your direction. It hadn't until about an hour and a half ago. Unfortunately, I locked in all my action early. I had 3 different I had a big chunk that I needed to get in. A second chunk about 4 hours later, I was like, I got to move on these. And then I finally moved on the Lightning too late, though I messed it all up. I was just waiting for an offshore to put out their line because I knew it would be better than 365. But they put it out, and then it immediately moved 17 cents in the Lightning direction. So I put it in at 365 and got 10 cents worse than if I had bet it originally. A mistake I'm trying not to make anymore, but I made. So the Wild have gone from plus 111 to plus 118. I cannot wait to fade the Bruins at Madison Square Garden as well. So I almost feel like kind of a free square because I'm going to make money on the Rangers when Boston heads there, which I believe is on Thursday. This total is at 5.5. It's minus 113 to the over. So we've had 6 cents of movement on the over. We're going to try to move as fast as possible here. Wild 31-18-4, 26-3 on the road. Bruins 26-22-6, 17-8-3 at home. Philip Gustafson just got lit up. The Wild were completely embarrassed. I don't want the Wild on the 5th game of a road trip, the final game of a road trip, but they were absolutely embarrassed and destroyed. And I'll go over all of it. But Gustafson, 2.66 goals against average, 913 save percentage. His numbers are dropping. Jeremy Swayman, 17-17-4, 3.03 goals against average, 895 save percentage, 2 shutouts. His numbers are slightly improving. Minnesota power play, 19.4%. Penalty killing has been weak, which is a big surprise at 70.2%. Boston power play at 15.2%. Penalty killing at 75%. The Wild's 3-game winning streak, as Pete said, came to an end with that embarrassing 6-0 loss to the Senators on Saturday. They were outshot 52-16. In the loss, 52-16. You don't think this group of men are going to step up here? Ryan Hartman was given a 10-game suspension when he smashed Stutzla's face or head into the ice off the face-off at the end of the second period. Stutzla returned, was in on 2 of those 3 goals in the 5-minute power play. Stutzla is an absolute monster. And there's some good news for the Wild. Yes, they lose Hartman, which hurts, as Peter mentioned. Kaprizov and Marcus Johansson both remain out of the lineup. But Jonas Brodin returns. Now, John Hines says most likely to be in action tonight, but he's going to be in there. He's been out of action for 12 straight games. That brings all 3 defensemen, Spurgeon, Faber, and Brodin back, finally. Their 3 star stud defensemen are all back. Brodin is going to help the back end. So This is just a must bet on Minnesota. I don't care what the market does. These guys were absolutely embarrassed, and now they go in and play the Bruins, who are coming off snapping a 2-game losing streak with that 6-3 win at home over the Rangers in that Saturday afternoon matinee. This is the final game of a 3-game homestand, and it's the first of the back-to-back. So they play at Madison Square Garden tomorrow night, and they're going to lose there. I'm going to be on the Rangers on the puck line there. I just hope that the Wild don't beat the Bruins 6-0. Because that's the only way I'd be off. Boston's a healthy group, only missing Hampus Lindholm, who's unlikely to return before the Four Nations face-off. I'm on the Minnesota Wild, and I got a tough number, not nearly as good as what's available now. I got plus 111. Plus 111. It was 110. Then I went for the extra cent to put it in liquid here. So that's my action here. Shout out to Truth Teller, Bet the Sky. Love seeing everybody in action. Redbeard took the Wild last night. I'm surprised this market's moving against us, but who cares? Minnesota Wild for me, Pete.
All right. I really hate to go against you, but I don't know.
No, don't feel. If you have conviction to go, I mean, those are the bets that hit the most.
I have a lukewarm lean to Boston, and also I don't know who the fuck Jonas Brodin is. I don't know who the fuck that is, but I believe that he's awesome.
He's a very good defensive defenseman.
All right. I'll take. I agree with you that Boston's great fate tomorrow. I'm going to take Boston on the money line minus 126, but I don't want you to lose, so I don't know what to do.
That's all good. Don't ever hesitate.
I'll make it an official play. Boston money line minus 126.
Okay, so Loshak on the Bruins here. I'm on the Wild here. Let's roll on.
Okay, right. Sorry. Okay, next game on the card. Another tough one, Columbus and Buffalo. Columbus, another team that I've had a pretty good read on in general. They've been very undervalued for a while, winning or losing close as a big dog. And also, earlier in previous years, earlier this year, they were a big over team, but I have been successfully sort of betting unders with them or team total unders. So in general, I've had a good read on Columbus. So normally I'd be looking to take them in a big dog, once again, in a big dog spot like this, but I know they have a lot of injury issues here, right? Their leading scorer, Marchenko, is out. I think they got some other guys around. This is a team that just has some character. It kind of doesn't matter who's on the ice with all the, intangibles and the coach and, the captain, Jenner and everything. And but it just feels like a bad spot for them. So I didn't pull the trigger yet. Then Buffalo, had been struggling. Now they're off of 3 very nice home wins. So I guess I would be leaning Buffalo, but it's a big line and I don't know what to do here. Leaning under as well.
Well, each team is missing their best forward. Now,
I was under the impression that Tage Thompson might be back, but he
might be back.
Marchenko definitely.
They said that he's passed all necessary tests. He's good. He should be ready for practice on Monday. But he also mentioned that the rest day was an option. So that's interesting. It's a big point, and so it's an important point here. And but Marchenko has been an absolute monster here. I just want to say one thing about that Wild Bruins game. Can we go back there for 1 second, Jose? And I know we need to be so brisk, so this doesn't help. But can we go back there for 1 second? What about the under 5.5? Wild, Why not? Why wouldn't we be on that? Wild, we're just embarrassed. Gustafson just allowed 6 goals.
Yeah, I was leaning that way as well. But
what kept you off it? The Bruins playing to high-scoring games of late?
It's just a very low total, and I don't see. I mean, Boston's coming off of a high-scoring win. You know what I mean? So it's like, when these teams clamp down, it's usually because they are there's the coach saying that they're going to change their style of play. Just we don't even care if we lose. We just want lower scoring games, or if you have a great goalie. But a 5.5 in this spot, I just look at some numbers. It was a thought, but passed.
And Fleury is confirmed for the Wild. Okay, yeah. Well, that will take me. That's the market move. The market move isn't sharp action against me. I don't believe, but the market move was because Fleury's confirmed. That makes me feel a little better. Wager Detective agreeing with the under 5.5. I'm not going to do it with Fleury and goal, unfortunately. So not that I don't think I still like it, but I'm not going to do it with Fleury and goal. Okay, thank you, Jose. Back to Jackets, Sabres, KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. Sabres 12-12-3 at home. I love cashing with them. Starting my day on Sunday with that casher, and that we have Buffalo radio, and I had to run some errands, and I was listening to the game, and it was just pumping my fist as that was happening. The New Jersey Devils, I believe, are a fade, and I'm fading them here tonight. But Merzlikins, 19-12-3, 2.96 goals against average, .895 save percentage. Luukkonen Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, I expect him to be better than his numbers indicate. Well, whether or not that will happen, we will see. Quickly for the line history here for this one, this total is at 6.5, slightly juiced to the under. This was there's been a big move to the over. Opened up, well, sort of. It opened up at plus 101, it's now minus 105, but the under 6.5 opened up minus 116. It's now just minus 107. And then on the money line here, we have Buffalo minus 170. They opened up at minus 166. This Columbus Blue Jackets team has just been rallying around everything that's gone wrong all year long. And Marchenko broke his jaw. It sucks. He was struck by a puck sitting on the bench in the second period. I've got him in the hockey pool. This guy's been beyond comprehension good. Not only does he have 21 goals, 55 points in 53 games, but this guy is sitting here as a plus 31.
Yeah.
He's a plus 31 on this Blue Jackets team. That is phenomenal. This guy, he's one of the top 15 players in the NHL is what Marchenko is right now. This Jackets team, to put that, to realize that you're a plus 31 here on a Blue Jackets team that's, surprising everybody by where they are. They have a plus 1 goal differential this year. And Marchenko is a plus 31. Yeah, sure. He should get Hart Trophy votes. That's what Marchenko has done this year. They also lost Dante Fabro. He left the game Sunday. He upper body injury. So they're already missing Chinnikov, Monahan, and Gudbranson. I think they're better without Gudbranson. And Boone Jenner's been out all season long. So they all talked. They all came out and said, look, we're going to rally together. That's what we've done all year. We're going to rally together. And you have this Buffalo team, rolling right now, 3 straight wins. Will Tage be back or not, is the question. Connor Clifton and Tyler Kozak both dealing with an illness. So I don't want that to get too caught up in that. It doesn't help ever to get too caught up in that. But this is a final game of a 3-game homestand. They hit the road after this. I've not moved on it, and I don't expect to. Are they going to get that first game bounce, with dealing with the injury? I know it's going to hurt them in the long run. I don't know what to say. But shout out to the Skunt Blaster. That's what I know what to say. What a great, great guy he is. $19.99 dono to bless our action. I absolutely love it. Thank you, Skunt Blaster, my man. Just love it. Thank you so much for your support, my man. What a guy he is. So, yeah, I guess if Tage comes back, Buffalo's going to have a real serious advantage. But Columbus has just been proving everybody wrong all year. I mean, so I'm off at this point, but
all right. I don't understand the line, but I'm gonna take a shot with under 6.5 minus 107. Current line I'm seeing right now, under 6.5 minus 107.
That makes sense, Pete. That makes sense with the Jackets and losing Marchenko, but gonna play tighter defensively. That makes a ton of sense. There's turns and outs. That makes a ton of sense. I'm interested in joining you on that. That makes a lot of sense here. Now the market is moving towards the over.
I'm sorry, but it's gone up since the first line I saw. Line I saw early was like minus 118. Now it's 10 cents the other direction. So could be misdirection, but whatever.
Oh, that helps me a lot. Nico Dawes confirmed for that. Well, Jake Allen's been terrible, so I don't know if it does, but okay. Let's roll. I like that look, Pete. I'm interested in joining with you. Yeah, the market's going against us, but I don't care that much about that too much in NHL. Let's roll on. We got to roll.
All right, yes, let's roll on. I would love to chat people up. We got too much to cover here. I also got to tweet this out after this. All right, Ottawa, Tampa Bay. Wow, this is an interesting one, right? Ottawa off a great 4-game homestand. They won their last one 6-0. And Tampa Bay clearly struggling, right? 2 of their last 3 losses were a huge home fave. And I haven't been fading Tampa Bay every game in their struggles, but I've stayed off of a bunch of spots where normally I would take them. I think I did fade them here and there. And now here they are, another big favorite. And once again, I'm thinking, what's wrong with Tampa Bay? Got to be Ottawa or nothing before I hear what you have to say.
One thing that's very important for cappers, you can no longer use ESPN for the last 5 games. They don't update 24 hours before anymore. So this changed about 6 weeks ago. So you actually have to click on the team and go through their actual game to game, because if you go to ESPN right now, it doesn't mention the 5-2 win last night at Nashville. So it's a very important thing. You can't rush through NBA and NHL using the last 5 games anymore. You have to click on the team to ensure there wasn't a game in the last 24 hours. So that is a very, very important note, and that's something that's changed with ESPN. They're not updating it within 24 hours. So Senators 28-20-4, 12-13-2 on the road. Lightning 27-20-4, 16-7-2 at home. We're at Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida. Ullmark is expected to return. I wonder if Slatsy knows if Ullmark will return. But he's missed 18 straight games with a back injury. He's expected to be back. Look, Ottawa is doing sort of the same thing that Columbus is doing. They are, more than the sum of their parts of late, and they're playing very good hockey. I knew I was going to fade them. I was a little worried that they would lose to Nashville. I stayed off of that game. I was kind of leaning towards Nashville. I didn't want to fade Ottawa, but I was leaning towards Nashville. And it was 1-0 Ottawa. 1-0 Nashville, and it was 2-2 as well in the third period, and before Ottawa completely took over that game. Right now, the Lightning are minus 170. When I look at that, they got up to minus 184 at 8:33 in the morning. That's what I saw them at minus 184. So I, moved on it through 365, through the local 365, and at minus 185 on the money line and plus 150, I think, on the puck line, giving me a minus 114, minus one. But you just have to fade the Ottawa Senators here. You have to fade them, in my estimation. So Vasilevsky going to be in between the pipes, a 918 save percentage, 3 shutouts. A Tampa Bay power play, 26.4% power play, 81.7% penalty killing. Look, Tampa Bay has been costing a lot of their backers a lot of money, and I'm one of them. And these teams play twice here in Tampa, tonight and again on Thursday, which is, if Tampa Bay beats them comfortably, which I expect tonight, we may want to go back with Ottawa on Thursday. But Ottawa's won 5 straight. They win 5-2 at Nashville last night, and they're playing their best hockey despite dealing with a myriad of injuries. Josh Norris will be out with a couple weeks with the undisclosed injury. Norris, 19 goals, 12 assists in 50 games, 31 points, second-line center. He's very good. What hurts them is they're already missing Nick Cousins long-term and Noel Gregor out with a lower body injury. So you're taking 3 centers from their roster. They're also missing Nick Jensen and Jacob Bernard Docker on defense. That's just that's too much to overcome. I truly believe that's too much to overcome. The Lightning coming off their 3rd loss in 4 games. They're an angry group, 3-2 in overtime at home versus the Islanders on Saturday. This is also my sweet spot, 4th game of a 5-game homestand. They're dealing with some injuries. Morgan Geekie out, Jonas Johansson out, and Janus Moser out. Who cares? Lightning -1 are a must bet, in my estimation. A must bet. Can Ottawa continue to do this? 3rd game of 4 nights. They have that hugely emotional game, against Minnesota. Then they go down to Nashville and they beat them. And now they're here. It's just too much to ask. I'm on the Lightning -1, Pete, and I got minus 114 on that.
All right. Well, I hope you cash. I'm not on Ottawa, but I'm staying off of this one, Jim.
Let's roll on to Florida, Washington.
Oh, I thought New Jersey, Pittsburgh.
That's after Florida, Washington. But whatever.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
Okay, Florida, Washington. Here, let's go. Sorry, I don't know where I got my order from. Okay, no. Florida. Okay, well, this is an interesting one. So Florida, of course, off of 3 good home wins, right? Much less impressive on the road. They beat some lesser competition at home. And Washington had been great. Then the goalie got the big contract. Now they've lost 3 of 4, although they were all very close. Last one was Winnipeg, where they came back. And I had Winnipeg in that one. When Winnipeg went up early, big, I was like, wow, I'm really good at this. Then Washington all the way back. I was like, maybe I'm not that good at this. And I also made a note, Washington is a character team, but they lost in overtime, so Washington losing a bit. It's a low line. The first line I saw was plus 100, and I'm not sure what's up with Washington right now. Were they overachieving with their winning in the past bunch of weeks and months?
Yeah, they're completely overachieving, but they have a ton of character.
Yeah.
So they could continue to overachieve, but that, I'm going to keep fading them. I told you guys I was going to fade them every single game for 4 straight games, and I'm 2 for 2 so far. Now, I needed overtime, and I had set up the -1 on the Panthers at plus 144, which would get better now. And I was like, come on, why would I do that? The Jets, who are so good, needed overtime to beat them. I just bet them on the money line, and I didn't get that good of a line either. I got minus 118. Right now, you could get them. The Panthers are available minus 116. So it did get up to minus 123 for a little while, at 1-2 in the morning. But right now we've had a slight move towards the Washington Capitals. On the total here for this one, we have a 5.5 juice to the over pretty heavily. Looks like a 6 will be here soon. This opened up at minus 108. It's only moved up. We're now at minus 119. So I imagine that a 6 is coming here. Slati saying Logan Thompson confirmed for the Caps. Crazy to me that left wing lock had Charlie Lindgren listed. Makes sense that Thompson would be in there against Bobrovsky, who better step up or he'll lose his job to Spencer Knight. Dave Redling looking at Bennett shot on goal for the last 5 games, betting 4+ shots on goal. Wow, that's a big number and a big score for you there. Billy Friedrich also Bennett shots on goal 3+ at minus 105. He's at least 3 in 10 straight games. So here, both power plays very strong. Washington penalty killing very strong. They've been playing extremely well. Here. Panthers coming off that 6-3 win at home over the Islanders on Sunday. You know, that was another spot for a huge score for just nonstop huge scores for Nutflush. He had he had the Panthers to win and the over 7.5 at plus 475. This is their 3rd game in 4 nights, which is not great. They swept their 3-game homestand, defeating the Kings, Blackhawks, and Islanders by a combined score of 14-4. But this is a healthy group. Washington comes in off their 3rd loss in 4 games, 5-4 in overtime at home to the Jets on Saturday night. Their last 2 losses have both come in overtime. This is a healthy group, only missing Sonny Milano. I just think that the Panthers are a better hockey team, a much better hockey team, and the Washington Capitals are making a lot of noise. If you're an Eastern Conference team, you should send them a message. Send them a message. This is the defending Stanley Cup champion, you know, that's way behind the Capitals in the standings. Go send them a message. And I didn't take them on the -1. I was like, what? I don't need to do that. But I expect them to cover the -1. And this was part of that. I'm going to fade the Capitals every game moving forward spot. So I'm on the Florida Panthers here, Pete.
All right. I hope you cash. I might tail it by the time puck drops for official play. I'm going to hold off on this one.
Let's roll on then, my friend. Devils, Penguins. Fascinating.
Okay. New Jersey up and down are off a close loss at Buffalo last game. Pittsburgh in general, kind of subpar, but they are off of the nice shutout win against Nashville. And the first line I saw was Pittsburgh plus 135. First line I saw. I thought, why wouldn't we like Pittsburgh at least a little? I didn't have the guts to pull the trigger on it then, and now it's moved down a little bit. But definitely leaning under, and still leaning Pittsburgh a little bit as a dog of this size.
I don't like this Pittsburgh Penguins hockey team. I fade them. I've bet them once all year, and I lost with them. And this is the second time this year that I'm betting on them. And I'm a little nervous with it. We had Jake Allen listed. Nico Dawes is going to be in net, which would require some on the fly studying, which I'm not going to deliver right now. Jake Allen's not looked good. Nico Dawes has a history of not looking good, so we'll see. What happens. This total at 6 minus 107 moved to minus 111. This was part of that second group of action, Pete, because I just didn't have the balls at first, and I was kind of curious as to where the market was going to go. The market didn't move a cent, so I was like, by about 9:30, I was like, okay, move on it. I got plus one. What did I get? This was that second group of bets here. I got plus 132. Right now, we have a plus 120. And I don't see, if it's all about Dawes, I don't think that makes much sense. This is a tricky game. And Nedeljkovic is a goalie I don't really believe in, but he's playing very, very well right now. Shout out to Sean Pulliam in the house. Irish King on Washington, Moneyline, and Tampa in regulation. And we have Slats is saying Devils 8-1 versus Pens 4-0 last 4 in Pittsburgh. Devils 27.9% power play, 83.1% penalty killing. Pittsburgh 25.5% power play, 78.8% penalty killing. Devils coming off their second loss in 3 games, 4-3 at the Sabres on Sunday. Nico Hischier is a big loss. Now it looks like Eric Haula will be back, so he'll be the second line centerman. He could return tonight. He's been out since January 5th with an ankle injury, so he was in practice as the second line centerman between Timo Meier and Dawson Mercer. So your second line centerman has 11 points in 42 games this year. That's the when I look at the Devils roster, I'm like, good God, they better make some moves at the deadline. It's a pretty weak forward group, but Hughes is an absolute gem. And so is Nico Hischier, who is out right now. New Jersey's lost 10 of their last 16 games. Penguins coming off their second straight win 3-0 at home to the Predators on Tuesday. They traded Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor to the Canucks for Danton Heinen, Vincent Desharnais in the first round pick. They're continuing to be without Evgeny Malkin. Look, I don't ever want to bet the Penguins. But I think that they win here. I think that they start playing a little better hockey before the Four Nations. I think, when you're a 22, 24, and 8 team, you're pretty excited about that 2-week break, but you're not looking past it when Sidney Crosby is at center on your team. You better be giving it 100% effort, and I expect them to do that. I'm on the Penguins here uncomfortably at plus 132, Pete.
All right, and I was leaning under as well, as you were talking about, a little bit uncomfortable with the game, but I'm going to take a shot with New Jersey Devils team total under 3.5, and I will get minus 135 at a place I'm looking at right now. Devils team total under 3.5 minus what? I'm sorry?
Sorry, Devils team total under 3.5 minus 125?
Minus 135, minus 135. Makes me nervous because someone posted New Jersey puck line. Where is that? They could still win 3. Yeah, Redbeard CLC likes New Jersey puck line. All right, they could win 3-1. Puck line cashes, team total under cashes. All right.
Yeah, I can understand Redbeard fading the Penguins. I've faded them probably 20 times this year, and this will only be my second time backing them. I watched the Devils play. They don't look good. The Sabres completely outplayed them. It was just that Hughes is a monster, and the Sabres don't know how to win. They don't know how to hold on to a lead. But we got to keep rolling. Let's roll into Golden Knights, New York Islanders, which I think probably is the best bet on the board. Take it away.
Okay. Yeah. The Islanders obviously super banged up. The question is, the way I analyze sports in general, especially hockey, is who's all right, who sucks, and who's awesome. Edmonton is awesome. I'm on them already, but Vegas, they suck. They suck, bro. So do I want to take them as a road favorite here against a team that is legitimately banged up? Maybe, but I didn't pull the trigger yet. It makes me nervous. What do you think, Jim?
Wow, that's huge news. Werenski not at the morning skate. If they're going to not have Dante Fabro and Zach Werenski, well, they have to be faded. Wow, that's a huge note by Slatsy. Thank you, Slatsy. So I need that confirmation because he's a Norris Trophy finalist this year. That if they're missing Fabro, Marchenko, Werenski, they have to be faded. I also don't think that. I think that's good for your under 6.5. Mm-hmm. I don't think that hurts the under 6.5 at all. Thank you, Slatsy. I don't care if it moves 30 cents. I'll wait for that information here. So let's roll on to this spot. Thank you for the setup, Pete. I think you're being a little harsh on the Golden Knights.
They've lost 3-10 in their last 13, baby.
Yeah, Frank Virginia says Red Wings have been a golden goose for him. I'm fading the Red Wings tonight, but they've been great for a lot of cappers, Turnsey as well. I don't look. They're an angry group. This happens to every team at some point in the year. The Islanders are an absolute mess right now.
Right.
They're coming in off having their 7-game winning streak snapped to 6-3 loss at the Panthers, but now Barzal is out indefinitely. So he already missed 21 games with an upper body injury. They did nothing without him. Also, Scott Mayfield is now day-to-day. Scott Mayfield's a plus 14. So he wasn't there on Sunday. Well, what a surprise. They have 3 stud defensive defensemen in Pulock, and Mayfield. And what a surprise. They allow 6 goals, without Pulock and Mayfield. They also don't have Noah Dobson. They don't have their star center in Barzal. Well, he doesn't quite play. They usually don't play him at center on the power play, but and they're losing their star. They don't have their star defenseman Noah Dobson. Now you have a team with 4 defensemen out. Now I know Tony DeAngelo has stepped up and looked good, and Prunovich has looked, but that's just not going to last. This team has way, way, way too many injuries and must be faded every single game. I mean, every game until the Four Nations have to be. So, look, I understand that the Knights are not playing well, but this is the best bet on the board tonight. No, maybe the Canadians on the -1 line. Maybe the Montreal Canadiens on the -1 line. Maybe that's arguable to me. But the Knights -1 at plus 115 is phenomenal value against this Islanders team that's been playing way over their head. This line hasn't moved. This line hasn't moved because of the sentiment that the Golden Knights aren't a good hockey team, which is not correct. And they're going to smash the Islanders tonight. Now, the Islanders are, again, one of those teams that's playing, more than the sum of their parts. I don't care. We faded the Islanders on the -1.5 line against Florida, and I'll be fading them on at least a -1 line for every game they play until the Four Nations play. So Vegas Golden Knights is a slam dunk spot.
Wow. Okay, I can certainly see it. I just, with my square analysis of NHL, I look at Vegas. I'm like, damn, lost 10 out of 13 and they're a minus 140 favorite. But I might tail that with a bet. Not going to make it official though, Jim.
I think it's the best bet on the board,
Right.
but again, the Habs might be. Let's roll into Oilers Blues.
Okay, Oilers Blues. Well, this one I did catch. I took Edmonton, even though they're a huge favorite. Edmonton, although I think I maybe like the team total more. First period goal. Edmonton, of course, off 2 home losses, both as a big favorite. St. Louis just kind of not a good team. They've been slumping. They're off a 2-1 win at Utah. That's on the road. That's a bad team. So obvious spot for Edmonton here. Gotta like a -1, team total over, first period goal, all that.
Yeah, I just took them on the -1 line, but I could understand. This is one of those. There's a few spots on the board where I thought about hammering it a little harder. But interestingly enough, I wanted to know if Ekholm was going to be taken off the injury report and play. And so this wasn't part of my first group of action. I still got what I thought was a great line, -1 at -101. Let's see what it is now for Edmonton. Yeah, it's going up, but you still get a great line on the -1. This is, oh, wow. There was just a big move towards the Blues. Wow. 6 minutes ago. Wow. Surprise. Maybe Pickard's in that. I don't care if Pickard's in that. But now you're almost getting the same line I got. It's -174 now. This opened up -175. So we have no movement. It's funny that there's no movement on so many of these spots that I really, really like. This total is a 6. It's -111 to the over. Open up -110 to the over. Very little movement here. I've got Stuart Skinner listed, but maybe it's a Picard situation. 902 save percentage, 2 shutouts. He's been playing better and better. Jordan Binnington on the other side has not been very good. I don't know if Hofer is good enough to take the job away from him, honestly, though. Edmonton power play 24%, penalty killing 76.7%. St. Louis power play has been weak, 18.2%. Penalty killing has been weak at 71.8%. I just don't think Monty has the players to do anything about it. The Oilers coming off their second straight loss, 4-3 at home to the Leafs on Saturday. Ekholm is such a huge piece of the puzzle, so he's back. Blues had their 4-game losing streak snapped in 2-1 win at Utah on Sunday. Look, Utah's terrible. Now, it looks like they might get Gunther back, but now without Cooley, if they're playing without Cooley and Gunther, they're not going to be able to score 3 goals in a hockey game, but we'll get into that. Nick Leddy remains out for the Blues. This is Oilers -1 in a great, great spot.
Okay, I'll start with one play. Look at this. Edmonton first period goal -203. I'm taking it. Edmonton first period goal -203. Definitely leaning -1 and team total over. I might double up on this one later, but for right now, I'll just take that one.
First period goal for the Oilers. I got the -1. Let's roll on to Hurricanes Jets.
Okay, Hurricanes Jets. Let me see. Yeah, this is a very tough one. Well, because Carolina, of course, big trade, and I don't know how to get a read on them right now. Winnipeg, obviously awesome. They were first line here was as a dog. Winnipeg obviously great. I took them against Washington and it was looking great, but then that was a big scare. Washington came all the way back. And Carolina, I'm not sure what they're so far after the trade. They haven't really gotten it done. They lost their last game as like a -140 fave. And before that, they beat Chicago by 1 at home as like a -450 fave or whatever. So my thought is Carolina probably is overvalued right now, and Winnipeg as a dog or close to it. Why would I not take that? But I don't have a good read on Carolina right now at all. How good they are or how good they should be. What do you think?
I thought the exact same thing, and I almost moved on him a couple times. I thought it'd be best to talk it out. But Redbeard's on him, which, maybe I get to the window now, seeing him on him. Under 5.5, opened at -101. Now it's -110. I expect this to be a really well-played hockey game. We have the Jets right now at +105. I mean, it's hard to imagine them being a dog at home against any team in the National Hockey League. It got up to +108 just after the show. This opened up at -102. It got to +108 yesterday afternoon at 2:49 p.m. I'm watching the line. It was at +106 last night. I almost moved on them. And then they got up to -101. I was like, oh, I guess I should have moved on them. And then they're right back to being a dog again. I feel like I have enough action here, but maybe we should never pass up the Jets as a dog. Maybe that's just something that we should never do. They don't have their captain, Adam Lowry, 6'5", do everything captain, and Morgan Barron. So they're missing 2 centers. But Winnipeg power play 33.3%, penalty killing 79%. Carolina 20.1%, penalty killing 86.3%. I'm the same way as you. I mean, Hellebuck. You think Freddie Anderson's? I'm interested to see what Billy Friedrich saying. Jets are nothing. Yeah, I might get there with the Jets. I might get there with the Jets. It makes me uncomfortable. Now I know that they make the Rantanen trade, but when the market sees a team that's 25-3 at home, and they're going up against a team that's won 12 of 26 games in regulation on the road, and they're the favorite, it's just really uncomfortable. And you know what? I don't, because this is a 50, like almost a pick 'em type game. So I actually, why don't we just take a look at where the money is? Because I'd be surprised if we're going to look here and just see everything on. Let's see. I'd be surprised if we're just going to look here and see all the cash on the Herc. Yeah, 71% of the tickets and 77% of cash on the Jets. I think I'm just going to stay off here. That I don't think the market's an idiot. Like if this had moved to -110, if this was now a -110, then I'd be more. But I have enough action. I think that he's on the clearly. I think Redbeard's on the right side. Billy Friedrich is a season ticket holder for the Hurricanes. He says Jets are nothing. Scuntbag on the Jets +100. Scuntbag plays of the day. I'm going to copy and paste him here. I'm not sure what to do with this still. So I'm not. I'm interested in the Jets, but I don't think I get there. Honestly, something's up.
Okay. All right. Let's move on, right? Toronto.
Quickly, though, we have a question here. Romy Rome's asking about Maxwell Smart. Sadly, he doesn't work with us anymore. Had a really fun run with him. We don't speak anymore. He doesn't talk to me or anything like that. So, but you can find him on X at CBMS420. I believe it's locked. Not locked, but like, where he has to approve you. But I'm sure he's still doing his thing, and we wish him the best. Let's roll on to the next spot here on the board. That's Leafs Flames.
Yeah, Toronto, slumping. They are off of a 4-3 win, though, at Edmonton. And Calgary also similar there. They've kind of been slumping and off of a win. And, Calgary first line I saw was a decent-sized dog. But I guess similar to the Vegas game, although it's different because that's, of course, a fade of the Islanders. But not quite sure why Toronto should be this big of a fave on a dog, even though Calgary on the road, even though Calgary is a flawed team. I'm probably going to pass, but free bet, I'd throw it on Calgary for sure.
This was one of the few passes on the board for me. The issue for me is Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner, they say he's got some sort of an injury. And it looks like he may stay off the ice so that he can be good to go for the Four Nations, which will upset some Leafs backers. I need Marner out there. The Flames coming off their second win in 3 games, 3-2 at the Kraken on Sunday. This is going to be their third game in 4 nights. I would like to back the Leafs, and maybe if they announce Marner's out, maybe you get a better line on the Leafs. Do you want to back the Leafs after beating the Oilers in Edmonton? No. What am I saying? I'm just off of this game. The Leafs are -143 right now. They opened up at -156. I can understand Pete saying a free bet he would be on Calgary. Calgary, again, you watch these games your whole life. You have biases that affect you negatively. I despise the Flames. The Flames and Oilers used to come into Vancouver when I was a kid and just destroy the Canucks every game over and over and over again. So I've got this real hate for them, and that affects me, and I just want to fade them. This total is at 5.5. It's -117 to the over. It was -120 to the over, so a slight move to the under, but I got nothing for this one. Let's roll on.
All right, next game on the card, Philly, Utah, right? Right?
I love the spot.
Right order. All right, so Philly, 3 straight shutout losses. Jeez, how does Tortza respond to that? 3 straight shutout losses. Utah, better, but not that much better. They're having a hard time scoring and winning themselves. Utah's a decent-sized favorite here, like 130, 135. But I was thinking this might be a don't overthink it thing, under 5.5, and to be a little safe, buy up to 6. I think I'm going to do that. It's possible one of these teams can have an offensive explosion, but not very likely, I don't think. I mean, Philly has been getting, shots on goal, I think, but not quality shots, obviously. Under for me.
I get it. This is a Flyers smash and grab spot. Even if Gunther comes back, Philadelphia's not playing quite as bad as it looks right now. I know. Look, that game against the Avalanche, they played really well. Avalanche are a good hockey team. They lose 2-0. That game against the Islanders was a disappointment. The game against the Devils was bad, but they had just beaten the Devils twice in 11 days. So yeah, they're in a little bit of a a bad spot. But you know what's going to happen is Kuzmenko and Jacob Pelche are expected to be in the lineup tonight, who they traded Morgan Frost and Farabee for. Kuzmenko is the kind of sniper that, I think he's got 40 games left in the NHL and he plays the rest of his life in the KHL. I think he's just not able to do it here in America for whatever reason. But who knows? And game one, if Kuzmenko's out on the power play with Matvei Michkov now was benched a couple times over the last few games, they're going to score. Like, they're just snipers of the highest quality. And now, Kuzmenko gets like a new lease on life here. So I think that the Flyers are a must bet. Now, if the big issue for these, we'll go over the injury report because the injury report's ugly and they need Pelche and Kuzmenko to give them a spark in the worst way. When we get into the line history here, this total 5.5 right now, slightly juiced to the over at -107. I can certainly understand Pete's thought process. Even if Kuzmenko scores a power play goal, I mean, is this game really going to go over? This is the Flyers. They're at +121, which is a little disappointing. I got him at +120. This line was moving in my direction at one point. This got down to +117. It's now +121. I'm fine with that. I mean, who's going to want to back a team that hasn't scored a goal in 3 games? So, their power play 15.5%, penalty killing 77.4%. Utah's got better special teams, but really without Gunther and without Cooley's out till after the break. Gunther has changed. So Gunther was supposed to be out indefinitely, and now all of a sudden, day to day, he's day to day. He hasn't been in the lineup since January 8th. So will he be back here? I mean, they certainly need him. You talk about how bad Philly's been offensively. Utah scored 8 goals over the last 5 games, 5 straight losses. They've scored 8 goals. So we have a bunch of injuries. So Rasmus Ristolainen, day-to-day with an upper body injury. He will play for Finland in the 4 Nations. He's an important piece. Then you have Delorier, a forward, but, it's not a big deal. Owen Tippett, upper body injury, that hurts. Ryan Poling and Igor Zamula, a defenseman, are all out. Tippett last played on January 29th. He's traveling with the team, but Tortorella said on Saturday that it's unlikely that he plays on this trip. Poling's missed 8 games. Zamula missed 5 games. I don't really care about that. Yeah, I think the Flyers are a must bet here. I think it's one of the best bets on the board. I think that they're going to go into Utah. They're a much better hockey team than Utah. Now if Dursey was playing and Cooley was playing and Gunther was playing, then I wouldn't say that the Flyers are a much better team. I'd still probably be betting them. So I'm on the Flyers here. I think it's a great bet.
All right, I'll take 2 plays. I'll take Utah team total under 3.5 -165, and I will take the full game for both teams under 6 -136. I'm seeing right now. If Philly comes in and puts up a whole bunch, okay, fine.
All right, and I got the +120 on the money line. Let's roll on, my man.
Okay, next game on the card: Colorado, Vancouver. Colorado off of 2 straight shutout home wins. Of course, they were also involved with that. They were involved with that trade with Carolina. On the road, though, they've definitely been overvalued recently. Vancouver, I don't have a good read on them, just kind of middling overall. I think they're off of another home favorite straight up loss. And I know that they have some new guys in the lineup, which is supposed to change things for them, change their attitude, change their results, change everything. I don't really want to fade Colorado here, but I guess free play would be Vancouver. And I was thinking, I don't know, maybe over. I don't know. Low total. What do you think?
The Canucks should be faded every single game for the rest of the season, and especially with Quinn Hughes out. Mm-hmm. Like with Quinn Hughes out, you run to the window to bet against the Canucks. I expect my dad to bet against the Canucks every single game moving forward. He hasn't sent me. I've been waiting for him to send me, to move on the Avalanche. Waiting very patiently for that. Quickly though, I do want to. Just for Chase J says Winnipeg on the second to last home game of a stretch. That's not right. Winnipeg just came back home. They beat the Capitals. They played 3 road games in a row. So just keep that in mind here. Chase. So that Islanders game will be the second game of a 2-game homestand, which will be hopefully Carolina wins tonight so we can just destroy the Islanders. So Slatsy, Slatsy on the Avs, Redbeard on the Avs -1. I mean, this is a run to the window and fade the Canucks as soon as possible, even if Quinn Hughes comes back. fade the Canucks every single game for the rest of the season. But look, I mean, it's not a black and white thing. I'll tell you when it changes. I was heavily fading the Canucks, and I started backing them every game. They were winning. Then they made this, terrible trade, sending out JT Miller, and the Pettersson trade, not as terrible, but just, Rutherford and Alvin have just screwed this all up. Now the Canucks aren't a very good hockey team, and I spent Saturday night, I went and saw my friend Brent Butt do stand up, and he worked for the Canucks for 15 years. All their special events, he's worked for the Canucks for 15 years. He's their comic. All these teams sort of have a stand up comic, and he was talking about the players, and he had interesting things to say about JT Miller, and they weren't. And he's very high on the character of Pettersson, Brent is, and not so much on JT Miller. But JT Miller's a top 10 player in the NHL, and you just don't. I remember when Ottawa traded Hossa, when they traded Marian Hossa, and the first thing that was said was, "What are you like?" The players on the team. I remember Chara. Chara said, "Hossa's a diamond. You don't trade diamonds." I mean, we can talk about all of that in NBA because of big trades going on there. But here, trading JT Miller, the Canucks, they're not going to be a very good team for a long time. Now, they still might make the playoffs because there's both bottom Eastern Conference, Western Conference is so weak. But this line history here is just crazy to me. The Avalanche are minus 146. They were minus 129 when we started the show. And I was like, what the hell are people doing here? The Canucks are a straight fade as soon as possible. Every team they play, take the -1 against them. This totals a 5.5. It's minus 110 to the over. I mean, if you watch this defense with Quinn Hughes, at times, Corsi-wise, has been the worst defense in the NHL. Now, Pettersson coming over from Pittsburgh is going to help that a little bit, but how much is he going to help that? Quinn Hughes, they say he's got a hand injury. Look at he's got lower body issue too. If you watch that Dallas game, the Avalanche coming off their second straight game, third in 4 games, 2-0 at home over the Flyers on Sunday. They continue to be without Big Val Nichushkin. They're going to, and this is just heaven. I mean, I'm waiting. Maybe if I check my email right now, I don't have my phone here, but if I check my email right now, I don't know where my phone is, but I bet you my dad has sent that in. Yeah, for this Avalanche, nonstop, and any team that plays the Canucks fade the Canucks.
Okay. We'll tail that, Jim.
My -1 is a plus 117. This is Matt. If you watch this defense without Quinn Hughes, they're the worst in the NHL. Now, is Pettersson going to change that? Maybe change that a little bit. With Quinn Hughes, they're bottom 10 defense, bottom 8 defense. Carson Soucy was a healthy scratch. Talkett's like, well, I don't know what's wrong with you. Can't figure. And Talkett's such a bully, and that was the problem. Was JT Miller was an alpha bully. Rick Talkett, the coach, is an alpha bully, so they bang heads because they're both alpha bullies. Get that fucking alpha bully Talkett behind the bench. Get him out of there. He's him, Rutherford, Alvin, fucking assholes. They're ruining the fucking team, just like Benning did. So, yeah, let's roll on.
All right, next game on the card, Detroit-Seattle. Detroit was a small dog. Now it's moved in their favor a little. Detroit, of course, has been rolling 6 in a row. This is the last game of their 4-game trip, but they've been rolling. Seattle slumping. And I don't know if I was thinking Detroit or the team total over more, but those just seemed like obvious no-brainer plays. I didn't bet it yet, but I don't know. Maybe you think it's a bad spot for Detroit, but they seem like they have some mojo to them, and they'll come to play again here.
Look, Turnsey is in Windsor. Turnsey's watch show. This is his team. He watches him, follows him very closely. He's got a great eye. He's a great capper, and he faded Detroit when they played Vancouver. So my pops, he faded Vancouver again. Right, he's because I shouldn't say again. This is now he's going to start fading him each time since they traded JT Miller. I thought it was a great spot for Vancouver and a terrible spot for Detroit, so I didn't send in Pops' action. Now, if my Pops does this again here tonight, I will send in his action. And I'll actually, what I'll do is if he sends 300 on the Canucks on the money line, I'll only put 200 on the money line. I'll put 100 on the puck line as well, but. That's beside the point. So Turnsey's on the Kraken. I'm on the Kraken. Are the Red Wings going to just sweep Western Canada and the Kraken? No, they're not.
Okay.
You know, their 6th straight win. I find it like I don't like the Kraken, and I don't want to back them. Kane has returned, Petrie and Comfer are out. But Kraken coming up their 3rd loss in 4 games, 3-2 at home to the Flames on Sunday. That was my only loss on Sunday. Yanni Gord, Jordan Eberle out long-term. Riker Evans is day-to-day. But this is, look, I can understand the idea that we talk about trying to catch a falling knife. I can understand, we've had cappers in the chat. They talk about who was our guy who just called him a golden goose. It was a great line. Sorry, I had it here, but it was a great line. And look, they're rolling. The Wings are rolling. But am I supposed? Because I remember Mohamed Joma, another capper that we run with, before the firing or the hiring of McClellan, or however you want to put it. He was like, I bet the Red Wings one game. He's like, how are you betting? They're the worst team in the National Hockey League. How are you betting them? So that was the belief before McClellan came over. So now McClellan's in and they're just, a playoff team and a really good playoff team. I find that very difficult to believe. The total of the over is over 5.5 minus 116, open at minus 110. So we have 6 cents of movement on the over. On the money line, this line was moving against me. And then it started going with me. When I saw it going with me for a brief moment, I bet it. And then it went against me again. I'm curious to see what it is right now. It's gone against me more. So this opened up with Seattle minus 119. Wow, they got down to minus 107. I bet them at minus 113. I think that the Kraken, I'm in no way am I saying that they're a bet-on team. A True Teller saying fade the Kraken, Irish King saying fade the Kraken. Turnsey, who watches the Red Wings and he's a huge Red Wings fan, is on the Kraken. So, but however you guys want to bet it, it's okay. Like we don't have to agree with each other. But I'm on the Kraken. They're going to beat the Red Wings tonight. Red Wings aren't going to beat Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Seattle. Come on, no way. They're not good enough to do that. This is the end of a 4-game road trip. They're not going home 4-0. So,
all right. Well, I hope you cash. I'm gonna stay off it. I hope you cash, Jim. We'll be interested to see how it turns out.
Let's roll on to Stars Ducks.
Okay, Stars Ducks. This one, there was a big trade for Dallas, right? They acquired Granlund and another guy, a defenseman, right?
Cody Ceci.
Yeah, right. And they traded picks for them. So they're trying to build for this year. Huge favorite here against Anaheim. Now, Anaheim, you had a great read on them last week in our show because Anaheim had been struggling for a long time. Then they had 2 nice home games where they put up a bunch of goals. And I was wondering whether that was likely to continue. You said you thought that it was, and that has pretty much been the case for Anaheim. They continue to play well, they're improving and all that. So, they're a massive dog here. As far as the spread, as far as the money line is concerned, I don't want to fade Dallas, but if you gave me a free play, I'd put on Anaheim. Low total here, though. I was thinking maybe the over. I don't know. What do you think?
I had the Ducks against the Habs as well. Speaking now, look, it was nice to cash that. But you know what Nutflush did? Down 2-0. Nutflush took both teams to score 2 goals. Ducks to win at plus 900.
Wow.
And he cashed it.
Wow.
I want to bet the Ducks here. I just don't know. I've told you guys I'm really uncomfortable fading the Stars and the Hurricanes. I have been for 3 years or so, 4 years. Like I don't feel comfortable fading them ever. The Ducks are right now plus 195. I thought to myself, maybe do I wait to see if I'm having a good night and then move on them? I don't. I want the Ducks. Shout out to Gerald Jones gifting a Pub Sports Radio membership. What a guy. I love it, Gerald Jones. Thank you so much. We have BJ moving here on the Celtics. Let me copy and paste that. We need to really, really roll quickly here, but let me get that here under the Celtics Cavaliers breakdown. But I would love to bet the Ducks. I want to bet the Ducks. I don't know if I can, though. I don't know if I can against.
Is Dallas like really great defensively or something?
Well, no, they've lost Heiskanen and they're losing Lundqvist. We're all very interested in what they're going to do because they're going to have all of this money. And they don't have much time before the deadline. They have all this money. Now, they may keep Heiskanen. Maybe Heiskanen comes back with 10 games left. But they should keep Seguin and Heiskanen out long term. Nils Lundqvist, a pretty exciting young defenseman, done for the season with the shoulder injury. So they got some bad news. Now, they've won 5 straight games. I have Gibson listed. I don't know if Gibson will be in. But the Ducks coming off their 4th win in 5 games, 3-2 at home over Montreal on Tuesday. Troy Terry dealing with an illness is questionable. I want the Ducks. I just haven't had the ball. Look, if we were just giving out picks, I would give out the Ducks, but we're not giving out bets. And I'm very uncomfortable pressing the button against the Stars, but I want to get there so badly.
You think Anaheim's offensive capabilities for over the past week, say 5 or 6 games, is for real?
Imagine if they had an offensive-minded coach. They have a very defensive Greg Cronin. He's beating the shit out of these kids. He's a really tough, hard-ass guy. But the Ducks have the number 2 overall pick from last year, the number 3 overall pick from the year before. They have the number 9 overall pick in Zegras from the year before that. Yes, they're going to score, and they're going to score a lot, and they have a ton of depth, and they have veterans. This is a good team.
All right, I'll make Anaheim.
Listen to this. Eric Comrie likely in net for Winnipeg. That makes sense now. Now it's more. Now I understand it more. Sorry, what were you saying, Pete?
Anaheim team total over 2.5 plus 110.
Ducks team total over 2.5 plus 110. I would like to be on the Ducks, and maybe I get there, but it's not something. It's something I would need to build up confidence on, and I won't have it right after the show or anything like that. Let's get into our final spot on the board.
One quick. So Dallas is really good, and these guys they added are not now makes them awesome.
Well, Granlund helps a lot. Look, I took Dallas 10-1 to win the Cup and 5-1 to win the West in something I did not want to do. I'm bullish on the Oilers. But Dallas picking up Granlund and Ceci is just the tip of the iceberg. They have so much money, even if Heiskanen comes back. And if Heiskanen doesn't come back, they're going to have disgusting amounts of cash. So they're just going to keep adding. But losing Heiskanen is a huge loss. I mean, this guy's their rock playing 25 minutes a game. So,
all right, I'll just take the Anaheim team total over.
All right, let's roll into Habs Sharks.
All right, here we go. Habs Sharks. Montreal now lost 5 in a row. Wow, and Jimmy, you talked about that in the last show about how there was rough seas ahead for Montreal, and you were absolutely right. That's kept me off of them a few times because I was on them when they were doing well for a while, and now San Jose they continue to slump. Once in a while, they get a win. And San Jose, a big home dog here. And, San Jose traded some guys away. So their lineup is now kind of depleted. They got some injuries. They got some trades. I don't know what to do here. They got San Jose. They got a depleted roster, but whoever's going to be playing will be playing with life. A big old dog line in Montreal, who's in a bad way right now, losing game in and game out. Big road favorite line. What do you think?
I can understand Slatsy only wanting the first period after watching these Habs. This is the single best bet on the board.
Ooh.
Maybe the Knights are, but it's right up there. Look, the Sharks have waved the white flag. They're going to try to lose now. Management's they want the number 1 overall pick. They're going to try. They got nothing in return except for draft. They got the 2025 first round pick. Which is going to be great. Well, it's going to be a late first rounder, obviously, Stars. And they got the 2025 conditional. It's a 4th round pick. It'll be a 3rd round pick if the Stars make the Stanley Cup final. The Sharks are just going to lose out, man. Look, it's not even the fact that Granlund and Ceci are gone, even though Granlund's great. Now, look, they're still going to be fun to watch. Celebrini and Will Smith on the first line are phenomenal. The Sharks, I mean, I hate saying it, but the Sharks could win a Stanley Cup with Celebrini and Will Smith. Mm-hmm. But that will be 3 years, 4 years. I think they're phenomenal young talents. But look at this. You have Nikolai Kovalenko, right winger, out. You have Alex Wenberg, a center. He's out. Tyler Toffoli's questionable. You have another center in Ty Dellandrea, out. You have a center in Nico Sturm, out. A center in Klim Kostin, out. You have a defenseman, Jan Rud, out. So now you're saying that this team that does not have depth is missing 4 centers on just their injury report. We're not even talking about, Michael Granlund, who is a sniper. Now, he is a center. You have 5 centers out. They're going to lose and lose and lose and lose. The Habs on the -1 line is the bet. Habs come off their 5th straight loss, 3-2 at the Ducks on Sunday. Look, I've been fading them. I had the Ducks against them. This is gift type shit. The Sharks are going. The Sharks won't win. What? They won't win 8 games for the rest of the season. They won't win. They certainly won't win 10 games. Will they win 6 games? Rest of the, I don't know. Wow, Billy Friedrich, I didn't know that. Will Smith, great grandson of the original Chicago White Sox owner, Charles Comiskey. I didn't know that, man. But yeah, this is fade. The New York Islanders, fade. The San Jose Sharks. Teams just aren't able to handle this, except the Islanders are trying to win, and they're just trying to make it to the break. The Sharks are trying now to actively lose. So
I'll tell you what I will do once again. Montreal first period goal minus 208. Montreal first period goal minus 208. I'll take that. And I'll probably bet in other ways as well. Maybe the Montreal team total over. Why has Montreal had a hard time scoring? Because they've been playing some tough defensive teams. They have some guys
exhausted. Lane Hutson's exhausted. He's played more games this year he's ever played in the season. You know, they're just a tired group. You know, why are they not scoring? I think that so much of their offense comes from their defense. Losing Gooley, such a young monster. You know, I can't pinpoint exactly why they're not able to score right now, but I just think they're exhausted.
I think they'll have some life to start. Yeah, and probably the first period over 1.5 is good as well.
Hey, Action, I guess you maybe are just joining us, but or maybe you're making a joke.
Me?
No, Action Jackson.
Okay. No, I wasn't making a joke. I was serious about first period over 1.5 minus 125.
Oh no, I get it. You know, because Will Smith and Celebrini are phenomenal, but the Sharks, to fade them at home is probably the only situation where we can. Mel says, did we cover the JT Miller trade? We don't really have time, Mel, right now. Okay, no worries, Action Jackson. The Sharks, just go back and watch the breakdown. I don't want to go into it again.
But you think the Sharks do have some scorers on that team, though, right?
Oh, phenomenal young scorers. But now they just lost Granlund. I mean, you take 5 centers off of a team. How are they possibly going to win faceoffs, play in the zone? How are they going to do anything? They're an absolute mess.
All right. I'm also going to take first period over 1.5 minus 125.
First period over 1.5 minus 125. Mel, I bet them. I bet the Rangers to make the playoffs at plus 145. That, it's going to be tight. I think the Rangers are going to put together a 10-game winning streak at some point. I took them over 88.5 points at minus 105, and I took them to win the Eastern Conference at 18-1. That's what I think of the Rangers with JT Miller. Now, Zibanejad looks like a shadow of his former self, but JT Miller is a top 10 player in the National Hockey League. Now, he's a top 10 player in the National Hockey League. He's been traded 3 times because he's an alpha bully. But you need to handle the character of these guys. There's nothing wrong with having an alpha bully on your hockey team. You're going to need an alpha bully in the playoffs. Who has stepped up for the Canucks in the playoffs? The alpha bully, JT Miller. But yeah. Okay, so let's roll on. Mr. Belvedere on Sabres, Knights, Canadians, all -1. I like that very, very much. Philly Eagle Flyer on Avs, Stars, Habs. Let's review all action here. Quickly, I'll just go over my action. I'm Wild, plus 111. Panthers, minus 118. Knights, -1 at plus 115. Flyers at plus 120. Avalanche, -1 at plus 117. Penguins, plus 132. Oilers, -1 at minus 101. Kraken at minus 113. The Canadians, -1 at plus 103. The Lightning, -1 at minus 114. And then we'll go through Pete's action and possible additions here. Loshak's on the Bruins at minus 126. We're going heads up there. Loshak on the under 6.5 in Columbus, Buffalo. If Zach Werenski is not there, then I have to fade the Jackets. So, because they're already missing Dante Fabro. So you take Marchenko off that team, then you take off their number 1 defensive line. I'll have to fade them. I don't care if their character steps up or whatever. Pete stayed off Ottawa, Tampa, and Florida, Washington. Pete's on the Devils team total under 3.5 at minus 135. Loshak's on the Oilers to score a goal in the first period, minus 203. You may add to that. Skunt Blasters on Minnesota Wild, plus 110. Jets, plus 100. Cavs, money line. Leafs, Flames, we stayed off. Loshak's on Utah team total under 3.5 in that full game. Philly, Utah, under 6. I love the Flyers tonight. Avalanche, Vancouver was a stay off at this point for Pete. I think the Avalanche -1 is a phenomenal opportunity, even if Hughes is in the lineup. And then I'm on the Kraken here, and Pete's on the Ducks. Team total over 2.5 at +110. I may get to the Ducks. I just need to build up the confidence to bet it. Then Loshak's on Montreal to score a goal in the first period over 1 and the first period over 1.5. So Montreal first period goal and the first period over 1.5. And that is NHL for Tuesday, February 4th.
Okay. We got it.
So, and was that at -203 on the Habs goal, or was that -203? Yeah.
Habs 208. Edmonton 203.
Okay. All right. We are in business. Thank you guys for rocking with us. I'd love to talk more and have longer breakdowns. We just don't have time for it. But thank you guys for supporting us here in the NHL. And I don't feel like it's too dangerous of a situation. I don't feel like this is before the All-Star break, which, I feel like there's exhausted hockey teams and we must fade them. There's teams trying to lose and we must fade them. Now, it's tricky when the Habs play the Sharks, who are actively trying to lose, but the Habs have lost 5 straight, so they can put it together for one game, I believe. So let's roll on, Pete, and roll on to call. And Mel says, I love this NHL card today. I love it too, Mel. That's not worked for me the first 2 times here that last 2 times I've loved the card. I've gotten hurt badly. So we'll see how this bangs out. Pete, it's time to talk college basketball. We are going to attempt to talk briefly or just pass, which is fine, on all 32 games here or 34 games, excuse me, on today's card. That's not going to be easy. Let me make sure I got everything
We'll go fast.
We have to go very, very fast. But it's not going to be easy on my part, just because the setup is going to be tricky. So we're going to try to move very, very quickly here. We really want to know what you guys are on in the chat. If we kind of blow past it, my apologies. I've copied and pasted the action from Cappers in our chat. We got great stuff from everybody here. So I'm looking forward to talk about it. And to get started, Spooner is on Marquette +3 and -112. So let's get started here with the Marquette spot. This is game 1 of 34. We're going to go as fast as possible. Number 11 ranked Marquette Golden Eagles, 18-4, 9-2 in the Big East. At the number 12 ranked St. John's Red Storm, 19-3, 10-1 in the Big East. We are in Madison Square Garden for this one. We heard Spooner getting that +3, which you can get. You can get the +2.5 right now is -103, but they've come down from +3.5. So I'd say it's like 3/4 of a point move towards Marquette here in this one. On the total, we are dealing with a 149 -105 to the over. This opened up at 145. So we've had a massive move, just a massive move towards the over. Then from a cash flow standpoint, we have 57% of the tickets, 51% of the cash on Marquette. And on the total, we have 70% tickets, 60% cash on the over. Take it away, Pete. Our first game on the board, Marquette Golden Eagles, St. John's Red Storm.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Marquette is, off a bad home loss to UConn. I like them in general as a team, but St. John's is not a team I want to fade right now. So, St. John's is so good. I would be, no bet for me, but lean Marquette first half. And of course, with all these games live and halftime bets are things I think about. But yeah, definitely lean Marquette first half, but no bet.
This is also the first meeting between these two teams. They close out the conference schedule on March 8th with another match here. That loss, 77-69 to UConn. I mean, UConn shot 59.5% from the field and 63.2% from 3, and only won by 8 because UConn turned the ball over 25 times. It was such a messed up basketball game where Marquette couldn't hit a bucket. I can understand why. I really can understand why Spooner is on this spot here, and I think I do have. Let me just move over here. I think I have some information here from Spooner if I can get up there. Spooner saying, "Oh no, my notes are on here." Nasty Nate on St. John's first half and full game. Let me see if I can just pull this up real quickly. I know we want to be rushing through these games, but this is a absolutely huge one. So here we go. Oh, no, that's not okay. No, he's talking St. John's, Connecticut spot. Okay, so yeah, Spooner is on Marquette here. I'm interested in backing them. I'm interested in backing them, but it's a 50-50 proposition in the market. I don't know if I get to the window at this point, but I'm going to leave Marquette as a possibility. Let's roll on to the next spot on the board for us, Pete. It's 6:30 p.m. We head to the SWAC, Texas Southern Tigers here. The Texas Southern Tigers 10-11, but 7-1 in conference. They've looked very, very good in conference. And you're dealing with the dredges of the conference. Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions, 3-18, 0-8 in the SWAC. We're in Clemens Arena in Pine Bluff. Let's pull up this line history and cash flow. I'm not sure if we'll get any cash flow. And Spooner saying gaming's more to Shaka. The UConn game is why St. John's won't be ready. Interesting. The UConn game on Friday that we'll be talking about with Spooner is why they won't be ready. Interesting. We got Jeff Slaughter in the house. Indiana +9, Davidson +9.5, Kentucky +4.5, and a Utah State St. Louis moneyline parlay from Slaughter. I love to see it. Love to see it copied and pasted here. Let's talk about this SWAC game here. As we said, Texas Southern just absolutely rolling. A couple tight games. One against Alabama A&M. The others they're winning, and Alabama A&M not good in the SWAC. The other spots, they're rolling. They just come off of beating up the Prairie View A&M Panthers, who are a weak team. But Texas Southern was 9.5-point favorites and covered easily. But they needed the second half to cover. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have this total very high at 160. It's -112 to the over. This opened up at -161. This was down to 156.5, Pete. This has come up 3.5 points since the start of the show. So maybe it just went down too far. Wow, that's absolutely wild. And then on the spread here, we have Texas Southern -9.5 at -110. They opened up -6.5, a 3-point move to Texas Southern. Take it away.
Yeah, this is a pass for me.
Let's move past it then. That is the Texas Southern Tigers, Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions. The next spot on the board is one that we have from Cappers in our chat. And it's Billy Friedrich. The pig milk play of the day is in our next game. Kent State first half -3 and -115. Kent State, which has been a bit of an enigma here. Just great games or horrific games. They're coming off a game that meant something, and they lose at home to Akron 85-71. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Eastern Michigan, though, there is a bit of a rest advantage for Kent State. Eastern Michigan played on Saturday. Kent State played on Friday against Akron. We capped that game. Eastern Michigan's lost 2 straight on the road. They lost 89-80 at Miami of Ohio, and then they just lost to Western Michigan. So Miami of Ohio is 8-1 in conference. There's no shame in losing 89-80 there, but losing 61-54 at Western Michigan is not very good. Now, they were 2.5-point dogs. Eastern Michigan shot 9.5% from 3. I mean, they scored 18 points in the first half, and they went 2 of 21 from 3. You have to think that there's a bounce back in them, but then Kent State just looked so awful as well. Interesting spot. I'm interested that I guess Billy Friedrich is putting the emphasis on Kent State looking awful against Akron and not Eastern Michigan looking so bad. Eastern Michigan opened up +6.5, or Kent State opened -6.5. Now they're -7.5. So we've had the 1-point move towards Kent State, and then on the total, we have a 140 -111 to the under. And when we get to the cash flow, 81% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the over. And then we have 36% of tickets and 47% of cash on Kent State, and the market moving in their direction. Take it away for us here, Pete. Little Maction, Game 3, Kent State, Eastern Michigan.
Well, Eastern Michigan, of course, involved in the game fixing investigations going on right now. So normally I'd be looking at Eastern Michigan because they're not going to fix this one. But moving in Kent State's direction, I would still be leaning Eastern Michigan.
I'm a little surprised that this is the move for Billy Friedrich, but I guess both teams are going to bounce back. I'm not going to sit here and decide which team will do that. So I'm going to move past it. Let's roll past. Next up, we have Vanderbilt Commodore 16-5, 4-4 in the SEC. At the number 6th ranked Florida Gators 18-3, 5-3 in the SEC. Stephen C. O'Connell Center in Gainesville, Florida. Speaking of Slaughter, a very successful, huge Alamo card show completed this weekend, and shout out to everybody that supported the card show. Vince Young there on Sunday. Just heard a lot of great things about the card show. So shout out to that. And there's going to be many more. A lot of fun. Let's roll into this next spot, Pete. We're in Gainesville. Purdue coming off back-to-back wins following that surprising loss at home to Ohio State. But the last one wasn't that nice. I mean, I cashed Indiana first half plus 7.5 easily. Purdue won 81-76 at home. And then we have Iowa coming off a really ugly road performance at Ohio State, losing 82-65. They haven't been winning at home. Now, they did beat Penn State by a point at home. They went 1 of 7 from the stripe down the stretch. You know, we were on Iowa, and they got us right in the drink hole. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We'll start with the total. This total is at 155.5. It's minus 111 to the under. It opened up at 153.5, so we've climbed 2 points. And then on the point spread here, we have Purdue -7, minus 109. That's exactly where they opened, so there's been no movement there. And when we get to sorry, I guess it was fixed. Thank you, Boxing First Blog. And then when we get to the cash flow, sorry, am I doing this right? Yeah, Vanderbilt, Florida. We have 73% of. Oh God, why am I talking? I'm screwing this up. I'm reading Purdue and Iowa, but Vanderbilt's up there. I'm sorry, Jose. Can we switch that to my fault? I went into Purdue, Iowa. I apologize. That was my fault. All my fault. We should have been going to Vanderbilt, Florida. So that's my apologies here. But here in the Iowa spot, God, sorry, too many games here. I'm messing this all up. We have 57% of the tickets, 56% of cash on Iowa. And on the total, 42% of tickets, 46% cash on the under. Take it away for us here, Peter. Boilermakers, Hawkeyes in Iowa City.
It's a pass. It's strength. Oh wait, Boilermakers in Iowa.
Yeah, my fault.
Oh yeah, no, that's I was leaning under on that one at 154. Where's that line gone right now? It's Purdue. Purdue. I liked 154 a bit. Let me see.
It climbed from 153.5 to 155.5.
Yeah, I'd be leaning under. Obviously, Iowa's having all kinds of issues. So they're a big dog here. Purdue is mostly good. They can be overvalued. So pass for me, lean under. Haven't bet yet.
I wonder if, I guess they're both in a situation of a possible bounce back. I have slight interest in Purdue, but I'm going to leave that with question marks here. Apologies for the mistaken order. That was all on me. Let's move back. That's Vanderbilt. Florida is the next spot on the board. Vanderbilt has lost 2 of 3, 16-5, 4-4 in the SEC at the number 6th ranked Gators. Now we're at the Stephen O'Connell Center in Gainesville, Florida. I apologize for the mix-up last one. Vanderbilt's lost 2 of 3, and they're coming off just a demolishing at Oklahoma. Horrible, losing by 30 points. Vanderbilt was a 3.5-point dogs. They were outscored 61-27 in the second half. Just a complete no-show. You got to think that Vanderbilt bounces back here, but Florida's coming off a 20-point loss at Tennessee. A shout out to Troy Torrance. He was bullish on Tennessee. Tennessee was missing their top 2 players and destroyed Florida. Florida shot 24.5 from the field and 14.8 from 3. So here you have another situation where both teams just looked awful in their last appearance. Let's get into the line history here and see what Pete thinks of this Vandy spot. We have Florida -12 and -104. They opened up at -13, so we have a 1-point move towards Vandy. And in the total here, we have a 154.5 juice to the under at -112. This opened up at 156. So interesting line movement there. And when we get to the cash flow, we have 57% of tickets, 58% cash on the over. And on the spread, 27% of the tickets and 32% of cash on Florida. Take it away for us here, Pete. Commodores, Gators in Gainesville.
It's a pass. It's a classic matchup. Vanderbilt lacks size, but they have a guard-heavy rotation that can do damage. So I'd be leaning Vanderbilt at anything over 10, but no bet.
And we have, going back, Iowa is being backed here by Wine Time Sports. So Wine Time on Iowa. Let's move on to our next spot. We have a big one on our hands, a very big one. Number 14th ranked Kentucky Wildcats, 15-6, 4-4 in the SEC. The number 25 ranked Ole Miss Rebels, 16-6, 5-4 in the SEC. We're in Oxford for this one. And at home against Texas, I backed Ole Miss -6, and I lost that spot. Since then, they lost 92-82 at home to Auburn on Saturday. But there's no shame in losing to the number 1 ranked team in the nation. Ole Miss was 4.5-point home dogs and couldn't get the job done against a very talented Auburn squad. Kentucky, on the other hand, lost 3 of 4. Just lost at home in a hugely followed game here against their former coach, losing 89-79 to Arkansas at home. So you got to think that Kentucky is a real angry group here, having lost 3 of 4. Let's get into the line history for this spot. This total is at 158 -116 to the over. Opened up at 157, so we have a 1-point move to the over, but it looks like, it's should probably put a hook on that. Other books have. And then on the spread, we have Ole Miss right now -5. Wow, this line's flying. So this opened up at 3 at 6:40 p.m., got to 5 at 9:43 p.m., got to 6 this morning. This was a 6. So we got all the way down to a 4 again. We have this U-shaped movement. Regardless, we still have a 2-point move at this point to Ole Miss. And when we get to the cash flow, we have 28% of the tickets and 54% of the cash on Ole Miss. Wow. 45% tickets, 57% cash on the over. Kelly McInnes says Ole Miss smash and grab, but Justin McKelvey got Kentucky +5 in his pocket. DC Capper play today number 1 is Marquette +2.5. Interesting. Take it away for us here, Pete. Big one in the SEC. Ole Miss hosting the Wildcats.
Yeah, I might be on the wrong side, but I'll take a shot with Kentucky first half. Best line I'm seeing is 112 +2.5 -112. I'll take that. Kentucky first half +2.5 -112. I mean, some of that movement might have to do with the Kentucky point guard Lamont Butler, who is his status is uncertain. And Ole Miss is good. They hung with Auburn most of the game, but I'm going to take Kentucky first half +2.5 -112 official play.
And the thought process behind it being like,
That's
it was the worst performance of the year. How do they not bounce back in the first half?
It's proprietary information, Jim.
Okay. Well, I like the idea there. I'm curious to see where the line moves, but I like Kentucky bouncing back early after the debacle.
No, I'm kidding. I don't have proprietary information. Yeah, it's like they just got friggin' embarrassed. Ole Miss is good, It's just the spot psychologically. Kentucky should come in and at least hang for a half. And if they're down at the half, I'll probably be looking at taking them second half as well. But that's a pregame bet that I made.
It's a very interesting one. My dude
said Kentucky been playing awful. Yeah, and Ole Miss,
horrific. Sure. Yeah, no, I'm interested. And Justin McKelvey on them full game. I am interested in it. Very, very interested in it. Now, I forgot that the Stacks play today was the over 155 in that Iowa spot. That Stacks play today number 2. We'll hit the Stacks play today number 1 a little harder here. And then my dude says, and they're on the road. No way I'm touching Kentucky. I mean, that's their worst shooting performance in a long, long, long time. I mean, we got to go back years. So I can understand the sentiment that they could play a little better in the first half, but I'm curious to see where the line closes. Let's move on. We head over to the American. We head over to the AAC, and we have the 2 worst teams in the conference. Surprisingly, Wichita State Shockers, one of those horrible teams, going up against the Charlotte 49ers. Wichita State's lost 4 straight. Charlotte has lost 2 straight, but they have a lot of losses under their belt. These teams played back on the 14th of January. Wichita State at home beat Charlotte by 9 points in that one. Beat them by 9 points. Wichita was 10.5-point favorites, so they didn't cover. In that game, they won, sure, but Charlotte shot 32.8 from the field and 22.2 from 3. I mean, it was just a horrific performance, by the 49ers. Do they have enough in them to get a victory here? Let's take a look at the line history and then hand this over. Right now, Charlotte's +3.5 at -113. They opened up at +3.
They got up to plus 4.5. So this line was moving pretty quickly towards Wichita State. This was plus 4.5 at 9:44 this morning. So we've had a half-point move towards the Shockers. And then cash flow-wise for this one, we have 61% of tickets, 59% cash on the over. And on the spread, 36% of tickets and 47% cash on Wichita State. And shout out to Troy Torrance rocking with us. Take it away for us here, Pete. Halton Arena in Charlotte, North Carolina. Any interest?
Definitely leaning Charlotte. Might bet them. We'll see. Might do a live or halftime bet, but no official play, but definitely leaning Charlotte.
We have a lean towards Charlotte here in this one. It's an interesting spot. I wonder if Wichita State's getting, the backers from a vividness bias, not from actual play from this season. But let's roll on. Let's head over to the ACC. We just talked about two weaklings in the American. Let's talk about two weaklings in the ACC. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Florida State Seminoles. Now they're middle of the road. I guess weaklings is a little much when you got Miami and NC State and Boston College in your conference. Notre Dame had their 2-game winning streak snapped in an ugly 63-57 loss at Miami on Saturday. Notre Dame was 7.5-point favorites and lost to a horrific Hurricane squad. Notre Dame scored 21 points in the second half of that one. Florida State's lost 4 straight. 3 of them have come on the road. That lone loss at home was to Virginia Tech, who's not a very good basketball team either. They just lost by a point at Boston College. So we're talking about Florida State losing to bad basketball teams, but Notre Dame really looked bad in the second half of that one. Let's get into the line history here for Notre Dame of Florida and see if Pete has any interest in this spot. We have, Florida State, Notre Dame, Florida State. And I am having trouble finding too many. Here we go. We have Florida State -3 at -108. Opened up at -2. A 1-point move towards Florida State. And when we get to the total in this one, we have a 143.5 or 144.5 juice to the under. This just climbed to 144.5. This was the first move. This came out at 6:40 p.m. last night and didn't move at all. It just moved 20 minutes ago, a 1.5 to the over. A surprisingly big move to the over here. 49% of the tickets, 62% of the cash on Florida State. And on the total, we have 78% tickets, 79% cash on the over. Take it away for us, Pete. Fighting Irish Seminoles in Tallahassee.
That's going to be a pass. The coach Hamilton just announced he's going to resign at the end of the season. So it's a weird situation for Florida State. They're not good, but they're not terrible. Same with Notre Dame. Pass for me.
I can certainly understand that pass. So let's roll on. Our pace is decent. We come up to a Morgan Spooner spot on the next one. The St. Louis Billikens. We've been capping a lot of their games this season. They've been fun. 13-9, 6-3 in the A10 at the Massachusetts Minutemen. 10-12, 5-4 in the A10. We're in Amherst, Massachusetts for this spot here. Get this up here. Sorry, I've got the. Oh man, yeah, we missed Dabra Kadabra for the Kentucky Ole Miss breakdown, but he will be here for our UCLA breakdown. So Billikens, Massachusetts. Let's get into this spot here, Pete. These Billikens are coming off the 71-63 loss at Dayton. I wanted Dayton in that spot, but this line moved 2.5 points towards the Billikens, and I felt like I was on the wrong side. We backed the Billikens when they took out VCU in the game before that, but Billikens have lost 2 or 3 and did not look good against Dayton. UMass bounced back from that Rhode Island loss by beating up on Duquesne. Look, Duquesne a middling squad, but they beat them 62-53 on the road. UMass playing good basketball right now. Let's get into the line history here for this one. And that's great news, Mel. I'm happy for you guys. Important to be able to watch the games and not get blacked out and things like that. So I'm happy for you. I guess maybe you are blacked out when it's at home, but at least you get to watch it here. So we have this total, Pete, at 152 at a pick'em. This has come up from 150.5. This was a 153. So we dropped the point down to 152. On the point spread here for this one, we have Massachusetts +2 at -115. They opened up at -1. So we've had this monstrous move on St. Louis from dog to favorite on the Billikens coming off a poor performance. That's a very, very appealing here. When we get to the cash flow, let's see if that pushes us even closer here. The total 61% of the tickets, 60% of cash on the over, and then 47% of the tickets and 81% of the cash on the Billikens on the spread. On the money line, no information. Wow. Do we follow the market here on the Billikens, Pete? Take it away.
Yeah, I was leaning UMass at Pick'em. I didn't bet it, but now I got some more thinking to do and some more looking into to do it. I was leaning UMass full game.
Wow. The market very loud on St. Louis here. Let's move on to the next spot on the board, and we stay in the A10. The LaSalle Explorers, 12-10, 4-5 in the A10 of the VCU Rams, 17-5, 7-2 in the A10. We're at the Siegel Center in Richmond, Virginia. Shout out to our friends Smoke and Mirrors. We have VCU minus 19, minus 109. They opened up minus 18.5, so we've had a half-point move towards VCU. 19-point favorites. Wow. We get to the total here for this one. We have a 143.5 minus 110 to the over. Dropped a half point. We get to the cash flow. 66% of tickets and 80% of cash on LaSalle. Hasn't changed anything. Half point move towards VCU. Then we have 57% of tickets, 56% cash on the over. This is a fascinating spot, Pete. Take it away. A10. Should LaSalle be 19-point dogs? The public doesn't think so. VCU is a team that just wears teams down. They're coming off destroying Richmond 90-49. Now, this isn't the Richmond of old. This is the worst team in the conference, but that was the bounce back from St. Louis. I don't know if I want them here. Take it away, Pete. LaSalle, VCU.
I'm probably going to take a standard small shot with LaSalle first half. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, VCU is great. LaSalle mediocre, but big line. And I'll probably have a standard small bet on LaSalle first half. I don't know if I want to make it official though. Probably not.
Yeah, I'm not getting much correlating here is what I'm looking for. But let's roll on to the next spot on the board, and we stay again in the A10. Davidson Wildcats, 13-8, 3-5 in conference. The Dayton Flyers, 15-7, 5-4 in the conference. We're UD Arena in Dayton, Ohio. Davidson does not look good. They beat Richmond on the road, but other than that, it's just losses piling up all around. Dayton played great. What a bounce. I wanted them. The market just got in the way of that St. Louis spot. They win 71-63. Great bounce back after that poor performance against the Bonnies. I wonder how they handle playing a weak Wildcat squad. Let's get into the line history here for this one and the cash flow and see what Pete is thinking. From a total standpoint, here we have, I thought I had it up here. Sorry. Here we go. We have a 143 minus 117 to the under. This opened up a 142.5. This got up to 143.5, then dropped to 141.5. But we're back at 143. So just a half point move. Just a half point move there. From a point spread perspective, we have Davidson plus 9.5 at minus 111. We've had the 1 point move towards Dayton. I don't really want Dayton after that impressive performance against the Billikens, going up against, an afterthought. Let's see what's happening with the cash flow. We have 77% of tickets, 75% cash on the over. And we have 35% of the tickets and 51% of cash on Dayton. Very interesting. By the way, Troy saying database says take Vandy, but they're terrible on the road. Gators off of a loss. Yeah, I don't find that too appealing here. Take it away for us, Pete. Davidson Wildcats, Dayton Flyers, and Dayton, Ohio.
That's going to be a pass. I'll definitely be looking at it live and halftime, but pass pregame.
Let's move over to the Missouri Valley Conference next. We have the Drake Bulldogs, who have been excellent this year, 20-2, 10-2 in conference at the Murray State Racers, 11-12, 5-7 in conference. Let's get this one set up here for all of you. We'll start with the line history. And actually, why don't we talk about Drake just winning and winning and winning? Now, they've been playing the toughest of competition. Just beat the Salukis by 10. That was on the road. They're winning these games, a lot of these games, by margin. The one game they didn't win by margin was against the worst team in the conference. So they obviously overlooked Missouri State. It was in Missouri State. They would need overtime to get the victory. Murray State, though, just lost to Missouri State. That's the first win of the year for Missouri State. They're now 1-11. Shout out to Deacon Mike. Hopefully hasn't taken that dirt nap that he talks so often about. 3 straight losses for Murray State. And got to think that there's some bounce back in him after losing to a team that hadn't won once in the conference. And could Drake show again that they look ahead against certain teams? Let's take a look at the line history for this one. Where the hell is Drake? We have Drake -5 at even money. And that's where they opened. Okay, good. So now the book that we used to play poker at, they opened them up at -3.5. So again, it depends on what book you're looking at. If you're looking at that book, you'd say the line's moving in Drake's direction. If you're looking at this book that waits 4 hours later to pull out their lines here, they opened up Drake -5 at -109. Now they're -5 at +100. So we've had this move towards Murray State, which I agree with. Now, it's unfortunate that Drake's already had experience with overlooking an opponent. This total very low. Open at 123.5, now at 124. And when we get to the cash flow for this spot, we have 59% of tickets and 91% of the cash on Drake. Murray State is appealing. 87% of tickets, 90% cash on the over. And so the question then, do you want Murray State for a full game here? Take it away, Pete. Drake Bulldogs, Murray State Racers.
Well, I'll probably be on Drake first half, not full game, but first half I'll probably take a shot with it. Feels suckerish, but probably be on it.
I might. This one is becoming moving towards my wheelhouse. Murray State just completely no-showed. They've lost 2 straight on the road. The last time we saw them at home, they didn't look very good, but it was against a decent Belmont squad. Why first half over full game, and why first half?
Well, because so that I can open up live or second half plays if I want to without over betting. That's a lot of reasons why I do the first half stuff. And Drake. College basketball, you never exactly know what's quite going on behind the scenes, but Drake is a legit elite team for this conference, and Murray State is a legit crappy team for this conference. So over the overall stats, say take Drake first half. Situation, I like it as well. So, but it's risky. It's risky,
and it's a great point. I'm gonna get Mr. Belvedere's spot there, but that's a great point by Jerry Davis. So these teams met, and apologies for not mentioning. January 5th, Murray State won 66-59 at Drake.
Yeah.
So there's no overlooking Drake. There's no overlooking Murray State. That's very, very important. Okay, I'm going to need a little bit more time there.
All right, I'll take Drake first half money line -155. There we go. I should probably take -2. I'll have bets on -2 and the money line, but for the purposes of this show, I'll just make money line -155. Drake first half money line.
Drake first half -155. So I guess it does not correlate the way I thought. Thank you guys here. I did copy and paste Mr. Belvedere's action. Bowling Green -6, Florida State -2, Arizona State -2, BYU -2. Kelly McInnes moving on Drake -4.5, and that will be now a no bet for me. Maybe I'll keep an eye on what the market does, but that's let's move over to the Big Ten, Pete. Our pace has been good. Move over to the Big Ten. The Gophers, out of nowhere, put together a winning streak that surprised us. They won at home over Michigan in overtime. They went to Iowa and beat them. Then they beat Oregon at home. Then they went to Michigan State and lost 73-51. Look, Michigan State looks to be the class of the Big Ten at this point. Then at home, they lose to Washington. Now, Washington is 2-8 in conference. There's no real excuse for that. This is a Jekyll and Hyde basketball team, obviously. Penn State's lost 3 of 4. They've lost 4 of 5. They've lost 3 straight. We watched them lose to Iowa 76-75 and then to Michigan. And then on Friday, they got destroyed by Ohio State. It was an ugly way to start my night there. Penn State can't. These are 2 teams that can't be trusted here, Minnesota and Penn State. They meet again on February 22nd. This is their first meeting. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. We have this total at 141.5 at a pick'em. It's opened up at 142.5. We've dropped 2 points on the total. And then on the point spread, We have Minnesota +7 at -103. I mean, is there any team in the league that should be this big of a dog against Penn State? Minnesota is now a 7. We have a 1-point move towards Minnesota. Spooner saying Puff Johnson's game time decision for this one. Penn State is not a team I could ever bet without him. He's been out for 3 of their losses. And when we get to the cash flow for this Big Ten game, I wonder, I got to get some. We're going through all these games. I have nothing rolling for me. 66% of tickets, 67% of cash on the over. And on the spread, 24% of the tickets and 43% of the cash on Penn State. Your thoughts on this one, Pete? Big Ten action, University Park, Bryce Jordan Center.
Yeah, it's a pass. Free play. I would definitely put it on Minnesota at +8, which is the first line I saw. Now +7, but pass for me pregame.
Yeah, I'm interested in Minnesota here. I don't really like such a public spot, so I'm going to have to take some more time with it. But let's roll on. We head back to the MAC. Every once in a while, I come up here to see what action are we seeing in the chat that I've missed. Slaughter on Kentucky +4.5. He's also on Davidson +9.5. We talked about that spot. And he's got St. Louis in the money line parlay here. Then we have a wine time on Central Michigan. So we got to keep that in mind. And if I miss spots here, we also have the Bonnies for Morgan. Let me know if I miss a spot that we have action on. We heard Central Michigan being backed by wine time. This is Western Michigan. We'll be at the Central Michigan game very soon. Western Michigan is starting to play much, much better. Had a bad start to the conference, and they've been playing much, much better, climbing in the conference ranks. Have won 3 of 4. Just beat Eastern Michigan at home 61-54. Didn't look very good doing it. They don't look very good doing much of anything. The Bobcats, though, are falling. They had a great start. They've now lost 4 or 5 in conference. They've lost 4 or 5. They opened up a 4-0 in conference. So they're falling off now. But they're losing to Toledo and to Miami of Ohio. And they beat Kent State 61-59. So they're losing to tougher competition, but should they be this big of a favorite here? Let's get into the line history for this Western Michigan spot. They're Western Michigan +9.5. That's exactly where they opened. So there's been no movement here. When we get to the total, we have a 151 and basically 152. It's heavily juiced to the over 151.5. This got up to 153.5 at 8:47 a.m. So it's been bouncing all over the place. And we have 65% of the tickets, but 49% of cash on Western Michigan. Ohio is 35-51 on the total. 60% tickets, 57% cash on the over. You know, Pete, this is starting to become. I can understand why anybody would not want to back Ohio is this big of a favorite, but the level of competition, like look who they're losing to and look who Western Michigan is beating. And Western Michigan's being the worst teams in the conference. You know, Ohio's losing to the best teams in the conference. Are the Bobcats a spot here, even though they're this big of a favorite? Take it away.
Lean Western Michigan, but pass for me.
God, I wonder if, okay, I'm going to take another look at Ohio because nobody in their right mind would want Ohio as 9.5 point favorite. I mean, it's too big of a line. But look who, again, they're playing against the best teams in the conference. Now they're at home. Troy Torrance, by the way, saying Florida -2.5 is a must bet. Let's get that here in my notes. I find the Bobcats appealing here. I think this could be a. Mr. Belvedere said he was betting Ohio quite a bit this season, but stopped 2 games back. I think that the Bobcats might be like a smash and grab here. I'm going to need a little bit more time on it, but it's such a huge line. They're inviting anybody. This team's lost 4 or 5 in conference. They're inviting anybody who wants a big number to back Western Michigan. The public's doing that. And here Morgan saying, I think this is now a Ohio spot. They've been dealing with injuries, and I don't know if their ability to score is the same right now. I think the Bobcats might be a great bet today. I'm going to need a little bit more time here. Billy Fraser said, I hope you weren't betting. Talking to Mr. Belvedere. Well, but before these 5 games, they were playing well, and now they're at home. I'm interested. We're going to stay in the MAC here for this next spot on the board, Pete, and then we'll get into the – then it's Buffalo, Toledo. So next up, we're getting closer to we're going to be in the MAC now for a while. We have Northern Illinois Huskies, 5-16, 1-8 in conference at the Bowling Green Falcons, 7-14, 2-7 in conference. These are the two weakest teams in this conference, arguably. We have the Huskies did get a win at home versus Ball State. Ball State, not a bad team. Buffalo would be the other bottom dweller here. Northern Illinois coming off a really nice performance in the 89-85 loss at Toledo. I mean, look at these losses. They lose to Central Michigan by 5 at home. They lose to Western Michigan by 2 on the road. They beat Ball State. They lose to Akron, who's at top 9-0 in the conference by 10 at home. There's no shame in that. They lose at Toledo 89-85. They're playing better than their record indicates. And Bowling Green is losing by margin every single time they play. Yeah, every time they play. But yet they have a better record in conference and overall. And they're favorites here. Should they be? Let's get into the line history for this NIU spot. We have this total at 146.5 at -112 to the minus 146.5 minus 113 to the over. This is dropped from 148. So we have a drop there. And when we get to the point spread, we have NIU +6 at -102, +6 with no VIG. This opened up at 5.5 and immediately went to 6.5. Now we're stuck at 6. So a very slight move. If Bowling Green is heavily backed by the public, I will go up against them in this spot. Let's see what's going on with the cash flow. We have 74% of tickets, 70% cash on the over. And on the spread, 36% of tickets and 44% of cash on NIU. Action Jackson says NIU covers. Why not back the Huskies here, Pete, at Bowling Green? Take it away.
Yeah, I would lean that way. I might have a bet on them. Not going to make it official, but definitely lean Northern Illinois first half and full game.
Okay, I'm very interested in backing the Huskies here. I wonder if it's a double up spot as well. Bowling Green coming back home where they're better. Probably not a double up spot, but for me, but I like it quite a bit. So I feel like my card's starting to come together a little bit. It was very difficult to find action here early in the card, but we still have a lot more opportunities. So let's keep rolling. Next up for us, we have Miami of Ohio versus Central Michigan. Redhawks versus the Chips. Miami of Ohio, 16-5, 8-1 in conference. The Chips, 10-11, 4-5 in conference. We're in Mount Pleasant, Michigan for this spot. Miami of Ohio lost badly at Akron, but played well since. I mean, they beat Eastern Michigan at home. That was not a pretty victory. And then they beat Ohio Bobcats, who again, they're not a very good team. But there's a lot of wins here for them. The Chips come off beating up on Bowling Green at home 90-71, but that was on the heels of losing 75-69 Buffalo. I was on Buffalo in that spot. And Buffalo won outright. They were 6.5 or 7-point dogs, and they won outright. That must have been a Friday spot. This is a Redhawks Chips. Let's get into the line history here and see what Pete thinks about this spot. It's a Central Michigan +1. +1. For a team that's 10-11 and 4-5 in conference, it's a very, very fishy line. They opened up as the favorite. I mean, you're opening it up at a line where all the money's going to come in on the Redhawks, and it sort of has, but not that much. I mean, it has gone from dog to favorite, but in the slimmest of possible ways. We have this total at 144.5. It's -115 to the under. So we've had a 5-cent move to the under. I think this is going to end up on my card too. If this is all Redhawks action, I'm going to want to go up against it. Let's see what's going on here with the cash flow. We have 65% of tickets, 53% of cash on the Redhawks, 35 and 47 on Central Michigan. I mean, this is screaming at me that Central Michigan is a spot. Morgan says Central Michigan is all one player. Miami of Ohio has the better roster. They struggle with teams who have high tempo and play defense. Central Michigan is the slowest tempo in the MAC and bad defense. He likes Miami of Ohio a lot. So that must have been on his card. Let me just double check that. Yes, Miami of Ohio money line here for Spooner. Take it away for us here, Pete. This is an interesting one in the MAC.
Yeah, I would agree with Spooner. Leaning Miami, Ohio, first half, and then if they're down at the half, take them live or second half. But no, if there's nothing official.
I mean, I understand the whole, and Spooner, is being crushing with X's and O's. He doesn't need this, market analysis to play any role for him. He studies these teams inside and out, but a team that's 10-11 and 4-5 in conference against a team that's 16-5, 8-1 in conference, and they make that team that's 10-11, 4-5 a favorite off the hop. Isn't that the books just opening up their arms to anybody who wants Redhawks? Isn't it?
Sure, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
You don't feel that way though? You don't feel like this is
no, I mean, I have a look. I'm not going to bet at pregame, but I'm going to have my eye out for how it unfolds.
Nasty Nate and Wine Time on Central Michigan. I don't know if I get there. I don't want to be on the other side of Spooner, but if this was just market analysis, I would say that the books are actively trying to beat us, and they're putting out a line that would make everybody bet the Redhawks. I'm not sure if Troy Torrance wants Davidson. We've already heard Jeff Slaughter on Davidson. Let's move to the next spot on the board for us. We stay in the MAC. We have a couple more games in the MAC. Buffalo Bulls at Toledo Rockets. Bulls 7-14, 2-7 in conference. Toledo Rockets 13-8, 7-2 in conference. We're at Savage Arena in Toledo, Ohio. 164.5 is this total. Opened up at 162. 2.5 point move towards the over. On the point spread here for this Bulls Rockets spot, we have Toledo minus 13.5 at minus 111. There's been a 3-cent move towards the Rockets at this price. I wonder if this is a similar kind of situation. Let me just get this up here quickly. Let's talk cash flow here for this one. We have did I do that already? Sorry, my bad. I'm just getting all these games blurred now. Let's get this. Here we go. Toledo, Buffalo. God damn, sorry. Taking me too long to figure this one out. Here we go. 63% of tickets and 78% of cash is on the dog. Okay, well, that takes the fun off of that one. 62% of tickets, 61% cash is on the under. That's the first time we've seen that in a little while. This is the first meeting between these two teams. They play again on March 1st, Saturday, March 1st. Buffalo coming off that loss, 89-76 at home to Ball State. Now they head out on the road where they've been very poor. They even lost to Eastern Michigan by 13. They lost Western Michigan by 9. Toledo's won 3 straight, just beat Northern Illinois, playing good basketball. Do they overlook the Buffalo Bulls here, Pete? I mean, the public thinks so, and I don't really want to be on the public. Take it away here for us. Respect play today, first half for Davidson. Is that right? Could you hit me with that again? I didn't copy and paste it for some reason. We're moving real quick. Take it away here for us, Pete. Bulls, Rockets.
Pass for me. No sense of what's likely to happen.
All right. Well, let's move past it here. They're just too public at this point. The Bulls are just too public, but I do have some interest in them first half. Christopher Commentini says Toledo or nothing, so it's nothing. Troy just moved on Davidson. Spooner says it's a big number. Toledo's a better team and the better program, but Buffalo's ability to recruit is amazing. Don't forget, Iowa State's best player was on their bench last year. Back door open. And Troy Torrance says Dayton minus 10.5 against Loyola, 1 by 2, talking about the Dayton Davidson spot. Let's talk about the final spot here in the MAC, and it's the Ball State Cardinals. We head to 8 p.m. action, 8:30 action after this. Ball State Cardinals 10-11, 4-5 in the MAC at the Akron Zips, 16-5, 9-0 in the MAC. James A. Rhodes Arena in Akron, Ohio. For this spot. Zips undefeated in conference play. They've just been winning by margin. You know, hard to find a spot where the Zips have had any trouble. They won by 3 at Bowling Green to begin conference play. Other than that, every game has been by margin except for the Toledo victory at home, 85-78. Every game's been double digits other than that. And now they face a pretty weak team in the Ball State Cardinals, who snapped their 2-game losing streak with that win at Buffalo, 89-76. Here we go. Let's pull up the line history in the cash flow and see if there's any movement in our last spot in the MAC. These Zips, where the hell are they? These Zips are minus 13.5, minus 106. They opened up at minus 14. So we've had a half-point move towards Ball State. And when we get to the total, we have a 157 minus 111 to the over. This opened up at 157, but this goes up at 158.5 until about 40 minutes ago. And then when we get to the cash for this spot, we have 63% of tickets, 61% of cash on the over. And we have 65% of tickets, 64% of cash on Ball State. Any interest in this, Maction?
No, there's a pass.
I'm going to put Akron first half as a possible spot here. Public thinking this is a too high of a line. All right, let's move on to 8 p.m. action, and we have a big one. We've also reached Kong's Clips play of the day. Our guy Kong's, Utah State, Wyoming? No, we're Oklahoma State Cowboys is next up. Jose, my man. Oklahoma State Cowboys 11-10, 3-7 in the Big 12. At the number 5 ranked Houston Cougars 17-4, 9-1 in the Big 12. We are in Houston, Texas for this, and we have reached the Kong's Clips play of the day. Houston first half, a spot that's been working for him so well, and coming off the loss to Texas Tech, a loss that Troy was all over backing Texas Tech. Kong's Clips is on Houston Cougars first half after suffering their first loss in the Big 12. How angry are these Cougars after that 82-81 overtime loss? Oklahoma State snapped their 3-game losing streak with an 81-72 win at home over Utah. So they're not as angry as they were. I mean, they're still a weak basketball team, 11-10, 3-7 in conference. Let's take a look at the line history. Here we have the total. This total is 130.5 or 131, but it opened up at 132 and it's dropped to 130. Since it dropped to 130, it's come up with juice. Now minus 117 to the over. So I guess it's a 130.5. When we get to the point spread for this spot, we have the Cougars minus 22, minus 106. This opened up at 22, went down to 21.5. Now we're back at 22 here. Interesting first half look here from Kong. When we get to the cash flow for this 8 p.m. spot, you have 39% of tickets, but 84% of the cash on the Cougars. 30% tickets, 48% cash on the under. What a fascinating spot. Is this a Houston Cougar smash and grab, Peter? Take it away.
I think it could be. I don't have any plan at pregame. I'm going to look into it a little bit more, maybe. Might do a team total over or a team total under or first half total. As of right now, I got nothing, but it is an interesting spot and something I might be on something by tip, but as of right now, nothing. Obviously, huge bounce back spot for Houston.
Ooh, I've watched Kong cashing on this Houston first half over and over and over again. I think this might be a double up smash and grab spot. Oklahoma State coming off the win, feeling good about themselves. Public on Oklahoma State, thinking it's too many points. I think I'm rolling right with Kong. Let's move on to the Utah State Aggies. They've been very good to me, Peter. Very, very good to me. These Aggies don't mess around. 19-3, 9-2 in conference. Going up against Wyoming Cowboys, 11-11, 4-7 in conference. We are in Laramie for this spot. Let's set up the line history and the cash flow. Utah State right now, -9 and -110. They opened up at -7. So a 2-point move towards Utah State, and it's juice towards Utah State. So a very big, legit move towards these Aggies. Let's get to the total here from a total perspective. We have a 142 flat. This opened up at 140.5, so we've climbed a 1.5. And when we take a look at the cash flow for this spot, we have 75% of tickets, 76% cash on the over, and we have 63% of tickets and 66% of cash on Wyoming. 63 and 66 on Wyoming, and yet this line is rushing towards Utah State. Utah State coming off of a loss, a bad one versus New Mexico. Oh, God, look, I don't even care what Wyoming has done. I don't care. The last time I was on Utah State was a similar situation as this. They were playing they were playing against Nevada. They just lost to UNLV. They were an angry group, and they Now, it took them a little while, but they cashed first half in full game. They were only 5.5-point favorites, but they were angry and they smashed Nevada. Utah State, Houston Cougars, very similar to me here. Oh, I'm interested in the under, Troy. We're just moving very quickly here. I've got the Houston first half in full game and under here in my notes. We're just moving quickly. This is the exact same situation here for me, Pete. I don't see why I wouldn't go right back to the well. This is even a better situation because the Lobos destroyed them. Not only that, but Utah State just shot 16.1% from three in this one. The public is backing Wyoming. Utah State shot 7 of 22 from three. Their starters shot 4 of 14. This is a better. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. Sorry. No, God, it's even worse. Jesus. Look at this. I was looking at the Lobos. My bad. Sorry. Tripping. Look at this. Listen to this game, Pete. The Utah State shot 5 of 31 from three, and their starters shot 0 of 13 from three. This is Utah State first half full game smash and grab. Take it away, Pete.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to take full game, but I'm definitely leaning first half. I'll probably be on it. Not sure how big. Haven't bet it yet. Probably go on it now.
Oh, man. This is the best spot here by far for me. Lex Steele, we played the Kong intro. I don't know why you got to write it twice, buddy. I don't know where you went for it, but we played it. I love it. This is my favorite spot on the board is Utah State, and I can't wait to bet it. Let's roll into our next spot on the board here. Head over to the Big East. Georgetown Hoyas 14-8, 5-6 in conference. At Xavier Musketeers 13-9, 5-6 in conference. We are in Cincinnati, Ohio for this spot. Let's get this set up. Line history and cash flow. God, that Utah State. I want to just bet it now. I find it so appealing. This total is at 139.5 minus 115. I can't believe the public's on the other side too. I mean, this is just in heaven. A 5-cent move to the over is all we've had on the total. On the point spread here, get over to the spread. On the point spread for this spot, we have Xavier minus 7.5 at minus 111. We've had this move, a 1-point move towards the Hoyas. The Hoyas have not been very good to me here. And Tom McKenna saying Utah coach pulled all the starters. It was a bench that got him back in it, left the starters on the bench the whole rest of the game. It's perfect. That's a wheelhouse, and we have the same situation 2 weeks later that cashed so easily for me last time they were in it. So we have Georgetown bouncing back off of that 73-70 win over Butler. I mean, it's bouncing back. I lost money. I had Georgetown minus 3.5, and they didn't play well. They shot 11.8% from three, and I guess there's other ways of looking at it. You could say, well, it's impressive to win a game when you go 2 of 17 from three, and that's fair. You can imagine that Georgetown will play better here. Let's get into the cash flow. 71% of tickets and 52% of cash on Georgetown, so they are public. 72% of tickets and 67% of cash on the over. Take it away here, Pete. Any interest in Hoyas Xavier?
No, it's a tricky one. Georgetown is good. They've been slumping a little bit recently. Xavier is a team that I do like. They're very competitive, but I don't really like to take them as a big favorite like this. So it's going to be a pass. I'll definitely be eyeing it live in full game and halftime.
Yeah, I guess this one's going to need need more time. Xavier played pretty well in their 86-77 loss at Creighton. Last time they were home, they beat UConn, and the game before that they beat Villanova. Now I know Villanova's not good this year, but Xavier off of a loss doesn't really appeal to me here. And I guess I've got the bias from the Hoyas, breaking my heart, not covering by a half point, shooting 2 of 17 from three. It was an unwatchable game. Let's roll on. Next up for us, we have a little action at First Community Arena. See if there's an angle here. Edwardsville, Illinois. SIU Edwardsville Cougars, 15-8, 8-4 in the Ohio Valley Conference, hosting the Eastern Illinois Panthers. Panthers have won 3 straight games. They won 3 straight games, 2 of them coming, on the road. Now they beat Western Illinois on the road, 71-59. Western Illinois is bad. They beat Lindenwood, who's a little bit better. But they also beat Little Rock to get this started. So 3 wins in a row from Eastern Illinois, and they're playing much better basketball. And to make it sound a little better, SIU Edwardsville lost at Lindenwood 65-63. And then they played Western Illinois and barely got past them. I mean, are they really playing basketball, which would mean they should be a 6.5 or 7-point favorite? Christopher Comentini looking at Eastern Illinois. Oh, by the way, Spooner and Robert Franklin on Georgetown, Jerry Davis on Georgetown, and Action Jackson on Georgetown. Wow. A lot of action there from our cappers in the chat. Let's get this Eastern Illinois spot set up here. We have SIU Edwardsville -6.5, -108. They opened up -7.5. It moved to 6.5 a little after the show started. God, they should not be this big of a favorite. I really don't think so. If the public is on Edwardsville, then I'm going to fade that and take Eastern Illinois. This total is a 131.5. It opened up at 133, so we have a 1.5 drop. And when we get to the cash flow, we have 74% of tickets, 75% cash on the over, and 40% of tickets, 64% cash on our Eastern Illinois Panthers. Take it away, Pete. I'm going to be on the Panthers.
Yeah, I took Eastern Illinois a little bit at 7.5. Like them a little bit first half and full game, and then I'll adjust as the game goes on. But yeah, like in Eastern Illinois for sure.
Anything you want to make official here?
No, not right now. No.
Let's roll on. We head to 9 p.m. action. I will be on Eastern Illinois. Next up for us is SEC action. We get another opportunity to watch these very, very talented Auburn Tigers, 20-1, 8-0 in conference. We're at Neville Arena in Auburn, Alabama. They're hosting the Oklahoma Sooners, 16-5, 3-5 in conference. Oklahoma playing better basketball. They've won 3 of 4. That loss was at Texas A&M, 75-68. Other than that, playing nice basketball, winning at Arkansas, beating Vanderbilt at home by 30. They lose at home. Other than that, Texas A&M, they lose at home to Texas. This is a team that's playing well, and they were 0-4 in conference before winning 3 of 4 here. And Auburn just rolling, coming off that 92-82 win at Ole Miss. An unstoppable force, looking to be the number 1 overall. Wolrensky not playing tonight, Slatsy says. Okay, well, Sabres -1 is a must bet, and I don't care if it's moving 30 cents away from me. I don't care. I don't care if it's that much more, it costs me that much more. So let's go. Oklahoma Sooners, Auburn Tigers. Let's set up the line history here for Pete. We have the total at 154.5 -111 to the over. Opened up at 152.5, so we have a 2-point move towards the over. And when we get to the point spread here for this spot, we have Auburn -18. Now, this opened up at 16.5, so we've moved a 1.5 towards Auburn. Just confusing. Should they be this big of a favorite? 27% of the tickets and 62% of the cash is on Auburn, so I'm not going to get in the way of that. And on the total, 54% of tickets, 52% cash on the under. Pete, any interest here?
No, lean Oklahoma's first half, but no play, nothing official.
All right, well, let's roll on. We have a big one in the Big 12. Baylor Bears, 14-7, 6-4 in conference. And the number 13th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders, United Supermart Arena in Lubbock. I almost bet this already, and I didn't. I kind of wanted to see what happened with the market, but I'm not sure. What is the expectation of Texas Tech after winning at Houston in overtime? I mean, isn't it the reason why I haven't already bet this is because it's sort of a similar spot to Baylor because they just beat Kansas. Now, we've heard people in the chat don't want anything to do with Kansas on the road. This was Kansas on the road. Baylor was 2.5-point favorites. They didn't play particularly well, but they won the rebound war against the Jayhawks, and that's not an easy thing to do. So Texas Tech rolling. Baylor's won 3 of 4. Let's get into the line history for this giant one. Nothing's changed. I mean, there's been a little bit of juice that's been added to Baylor, but nothing's really changed. This opened up with Baylor plus 7.5. I was looking at it at 8. It's an 8 right now. This got down to 7.5 again, 11:02 a.m. Now it's back at 8. It's sort of a 7.5. It's juiced towards Baylor. Very curious to hear from everybody in the chat if they think that this is a spot to fade Texas Tech, because I do. 142 is the total. I just didn't want to go on my own on this one. Opened up at 140.5, now at 142. So we have a 1.5 move towards the over. And when we get to the cash flow, 65% of tickets, 64% cash on the over. 42% of tickets and 77% cash on Texas Tech. I guess that's why it's not moving. Only 23% of the cash on the spread is on Baylor, but 58% of the tickets. That's not a very comfortable situation for me. Take it away, Pete. Bears, Red Raiders in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, way too many unknowns here, so it's going to be a pass. Texas Tech has a lot of depth. Baylor doesn't, so that's a factor. I'd lean Baylor first half, but way too many unknowns, so pass for me.
I am interested. I'm interested. Jerry Davis on Baylor +8. Jim Dewigger, I can completely understand your anger about that. There's nothing more frustrating than when your team doesn't back someone up after a hit like that. I completely understand your anger. Let's move on. We go from the Big 12 to the Big 10. Indiana Hoosiers 14-8, 5-6 in conference at the number 21 ranked Wisconsin Badgers 17-5, 7-4 in conference. We're at the Kohl Center in Madison, Wisconsin. Spoonie says, I believe Baylor is the side. McCasland is Drew's former assistant. I can see the letdown spot. Texas Tech coming off a huge gritty win where their best player Toppin was ejected a few minutes in. Here, Troy Torrance says Baylor off emotional home win. They've gotten crushed every time they've been dogs on the road. It's that win over Kansas is too bad because it takes away from my opportunity. So I think I'm gonna stay off of and seeing the public slightly on Baylor, but the bigger bets on Texas Tech. I'm gonna leave that alone. But the Hoosiers Badgers is the next spot on the board. Indiana's lost 3 straight games. That was a really easy win for us here on Friday. Indiana +7.5, cash and grab. 81-76 was the final score. They did lose, but they covered first half and full game. They've lost 3 straight. Their last win at Ohio State, 77-76 in overtime. Whiskey here has won 2 of their last 3. The loss was at Maryland. They're coming off a 75-69 win at Northwestern. Now, I know Northwestern 3-8 in conference. Not a lot good to say about that. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have here we go. We have this total at 151 at a pick'em. This has not moved. This has been out since 6:44 p.m. yesterday. It's not moved. On the spread for this spot, we have Indiana +9 at -105. They opened up at 9.5. Did get down to 8.5 for a cup of coffee, but they're back at 9. We have a half-point move towards the Hoosiers here. I wonder if 70. The problem is Indiana's public. 70% of tickets, 71% of cash is on Indiana. On the total, 58% tickets, 59% cash on the under. Take it away, Pete. What do you think of the spot? Hoosiers, Badgers.
That's a pass. I don't want to fade Wisconsin unless I have a real good reason to. So pass for me.
So just hear me on this one. We've seen Indiana play back-to-back road games now. This is just the second time. But the first one, they look great. Beat Ohio State in overtime. And then they lose at Northwestern by 9. They look great at Purdue. I wonder if they then lose to Wisconsin. I'm not going to say the exact same thing is going to happen again, but they have to feel very good about what happened with Purdue. And the public's on the Hoosiers. This line's barely moving. I have some interest in whiskey here. I'm going to think about it a little longer. Troy Torrance says in the Big 10, road dogs in this price range are 8-1 against the spread since January 1st, excuse me. Wow. Okay. I've got question marks here beside it, so we'll have a little bit more time to figure it out. Let's keep rolling here. We are getting through these games. Next up for us, ACC action, 9 p.m. Eastern. Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 10-12, 4-7 in conference at the Clemson Tigers, 18-4, 10-1 in conference. We're at Little John Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina for this spot. Let's set up the line history. We have Clemson as 12-point favorites, -12 at -110. They opened up -13.5. There's been a pretty legitimate move towards Georgia Tech in the last hour and a half or so. When we get to the total, we have, there we go. When we get to the total, we have a 138 juice to the under. You see a lot of 137.5. This opened up at 139, but it cut down to 136. So we've had a considerable buyback on the spot. We have 32% of tickets and 31% of cash on the under. And on the, oh, shoot, here we go. Oh, God, I pressed projections. Let's go back to public. On the spread here, we have 44% of tickets and 20% of the cash on Clemson. Georgia Tech being back, 56% of tickets and 80% of the cash. What do you think of this spot here? Is Georgia Tech live for a cover, Pete?
No, I wouldn't take them, but it's too big of a line for Clemson. I'm also not fading Clemson unless I have a really good reason to. So, we'll lean Clemson, but pass.
We have a lean to Clemson. This is a legit move towards Georgia Tech, coming off a home win over Louisville. Oh, you can't back Georgia Tech after beating Louisville and going back on the road. Look at their last 2 road games. They lose to Notre Dame and Florida State. And Clemson coming back home. I can understand the market moving towards them after how. Yeah, no, that's a pass. All right, let's head back to the A10. St. Bonaventure Bonnie, 17-6, 5-5 in the A10 at the Loyola Chicago Ramblers. 13-8, 4-4 in conference. We are in Chicago, Illinois for this one. Loyola Chicago, a slight favorite. The Bonnies have won 2 straight. They beat up on Dayton at home, and then they just barely get past Fordham, a weak Fordham team. Got to expect them to play better here. Last time we saw them on the road, they lose by margin. They lost by margin at VCU. They lost by margin at Duquesne. Loyola Chicago coming off a 58-55 win over St. Joseph's here. Pretty ugly basketball. They've won 2 of their last 3 here. They took George Mason to overtime before barely getting past St. Joe's. George Mason at the top of the table. Let's take a look at the line history here for this spot. We have this total at 132, juiced to the under at -112. Opened up at 132.5. Did get down to 131 before it started climbing. And when we get to the point spread here for this spot, we have Loyola Chicago -2.5 at -116. They opened up at -2. It's -3 here. Loyola didn't play very good against St. Joe's, but St. Bonaventure didn't play very good against Fordham. I don't find this appealing. Take it away, Pete. Any interest here for the Bonnies against the Ramblers?
Well, St. Bonaventure for a while was great ATS, and they started playing shockingly terribly ATS. 2 games ago, they got a great win, and this one, I'll be watching it, live and at the half. Pregame, definitely eating Loyola Chicago, though. Might make a small bet on it. Haven't done it yet.
Let's move on. I'm going to stay off of that spot here. We move on. We head over to the Mountain West here. Just a hand, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 6 games left after this one. Nevada Wolfpack 12-10, 4-7 in conference at Air Force Falcons. 3-19, 0-11 in conference. Colorado Springs, Colorado for this one. Air Force has looked good at times. At home, they took San Diego State to overtime, losing 77-76. San Diego State 8-3 in conference. Coming off 75-64 loss at San Jose State. There's times where they step up. Their last home game, they fell apart after the San Diego State game. They lose 87-58 at home to Utah State. Nevada snapped their 3-game losing streak with 71-65 win at home over UNLV. We watched them lose by 10 at Boise. We watched them lose in that, the double-up spot for me on Utah State. They lost by 21 at Utah State. Nevada probably shouldn't be trusted on the road. They're not that good. The question is Air Force any good? 67% of the tickets and 60% of the cash is on Air Force, so they're a public home dog. 80% of the tickets, 79% cash on the over. Oh, that's dope, Mel. Oh, yo, that's wonderful news for you. Wonderful news for you guys. Love to hear it. A line history-wise here, we have Air Force +10 at -110. They opened up at +9, so we have a 1-point move towards Nevada. This does not appeal to me here. When we get to the total in this spot, we have a 129.5 -113 to the under. Pete, take it away. Is there a chance that Nevada takes them lightly here?
No, I would lean Air Force, but no bet pregame.
And it also is public, which is not appealing to me at all. Okay, let's roll on. Next up for us, we head to the Big Ten. We got back-to-back Big Ten games here. And we have Dabby Cab giving us a best bet on the Michigan State UCLA game. But first, we're talking USC Trojans 13-8, 5-5 in conference. Northwestern Wildcats 12-10, 3-8 in conference. We're at Welsh Ryan Arena in Evanston here. Let's get this one set up and hear what Pete thinks, and then Dabby Cab will be joining us for our next spot. This total is at 142, heavily juiced to the under. I see 140 and a half. This has climbed up from 140. There was just another 1-point move to the over 10 minutes ago. This got down to 139, so this has climbed up quite a bit. So this is a total that's climbing briskly here. When we get to the spread for this USC spot, we have USC plus 2.5 and minus 110. They opened up at plus 1.5, so we have a 1-point move towards the Wildcats. From a cash flow look here, 68% of the tickets, 66% of the cash on the over. It's moving in that direction. Then we have on the spread, 59% of tickets and 58% of cash on USC. But this line's moving towards Northwestern. Northwestern coming off 3 straight losses, the last 2 at home. It's their 3rd straight road game. It's a pretty sweet spot. USC just played their hearts out, beat Michigan State 70-64, gave Michigan State their first conference loss. I mean, how is the market is opening up their arms to anybody who wants the Trojans? I mean, this is a must bet Northwestern. Must bet Northwestern. Take it away. And then Troy Torrance says Northwestern being back for the same reason I'm on Florida State. This is a must bet. And Wine Time fading USC, must bet Northwestern. Take it away, Pete. Floor is yours. Trojans, Wildcats.
Yeah, you might be right. I haven't bet it yet, but I might later. Northwestern, was playing great earlier in the year. Then their leading scorer, went down. They've struggled since then. At some point, though, they are likely to turn it around and have good value there. There might be this game. USC, up and down, good team, but can also get beat. You might be right. Northwestern might be a great bet. I haven't done it yet, though.
I'm going to do it. One time saying it's a must bet, and I will bet it. All right. We have capped 29 games. And number 30 coming up, and we got a little change of energy here on this show. Please welcome the star of the starting 5 every Saturday morning, 10:45 Eastern, as well as the star of Medicate Mondays, our friend Dabby Cab. Dabby, how are you, my man?
Peter, Jimmy, chat, man, good to be here. I can't believe I missed the first fucking game. I still got bets for that Kentucky game. Look, I'm not trying to get up here and just blame Jose, but it's Jose's fault, just so you know, Jimmy.
Okay. But you're not muted. He didn't mute you.
Yeah, he didn't do that. By the way, I found out that Jose has followed me around, guys, in the chat, just so you know. He actually goes to my shows and presses the mute in StreamYard. So when you guys think it's me, it's Jose, just so you know.
Oh, it's important to know. It's important to know. Well, let's talk Michigan State, UCLA, and then we'll get the rest of your best bets here. Michigan State Spartans 18-3, 9-1 in the Big Ten. Of the UCLA Bruins 16-6, 7-4 in the Big Ten. Poly Pavilion for this one. We just joined forces on the Northwestern Wildcats. Let's see what we do here. Obviously, Michigan State Spartans are an angry group. They lose 70-64 at USC. Not impressive. Now, they were just 3.5-point favorites. I mean, Trojans are a good team. But it was a pretty ugly performance by the Spartans. The question is, are they going to take it out on the UCLA Bruins, who are in the throes of a massive winning streak? And they're winning by margin. They went to USC and beat them. They're coming off destroying Oregon 78-52. I feel like this is a Michigan State spot joining us here. Let's take a look at the line history for this big one. We got UCLA minus 3.5, minus 104. A lot of threes on the board. This opened up minus 2.5 for UCLA, went from 2.5 to 3, and then back to 2.5 this morning. Then it got to 4. This was minus 4 when we began the show. We still have a 1-point move towards UCLA Bruins. Are you telling me that Michigan State is going to go in to Cali, go into the LA area and get swept? Now, 61% of the tickets and 59% of the cash are saying that won't happen. But the line's moving away from all that money. 74% tickets, 75% cash on the over. Wine Time says this is Michigan State spot, it feels like. But he hasn't bet this game. I get why you haven't bet this game, because the public is expecting the Spartans to bounce back, but the line's moved a point towards UCLA and had moved 1.5 points. Dabby Cab, let's hear from you, my friend. Spartans, Bruins at Poly Pavilion.
Yeah, I think it's important to think about how you expect a team to bounce back or what they're going to be able to do if you think they're going to. If you look at this Michigan State team, like, I mean, shit, they got 10 people that score the ball on this team. Even there, and you go all the way down to Cooper down at number 10, he still puts up almost 5 points per game, right? They spread the ball all the way around. Obviously, Atkins is at the helm still. But my point is when you have 10 people scoring the basketball, that's buying into the coach. That's buying into Tom Izzo. I think the reason this Michigan State team has been so successful this year is because they're a unit. They play as a team. They're buying into what, their coach says. Like I just said, previously, they don't really have that, Jeremiah Broom or like, they don't have anybody that just wows you on their team. Honestly, I'm not saying that Atkins isn't good and some of these players like Richardson can't play, but they're not NBA talent type players. I don't think we're going to see them at the next level doing anything. But here this year in college, they're doing something special by buying into what their coach says, trusting each other as a team, as a unit. Now, UCLA, after getting called out, they've bounced back with those 5 straight that you touched on. They lost the first one after the call out, but since then they've won 5 straight. I'm a little shocked, that wins over Wisconsin, Oregon. You said USC, which was a road win over USC, Washington. I mean, this UCLA team's been playing really good basketball. I'm just going to go with what I said. I trust this Michigan State team. I took them first half here since they're on the road. I got +2 in the first half, and I posted it, and that's where I'm at.
What was the VIG?
Let me double check. I think -114. I think I paid a little for it. Yeah, -114.
Michigan State first half +2, -114 for Dabra Kadabra, the Magic Man. Pistol P. Loshak, Spartans, Bruins, Poly Pavilion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. I haven't bet it yet. I'm a little bit scared of, I love the Michigan State makeup of the team right now. I'm definitely leaning full game in first half. I'll probably have a bet on it one way or another. Haven't done it yet though, but definitely that's what I'm thinking.
What a fascinating spot here. I'm surprised it's moving towards the Bruins. Shout out to our guy Good in the house. Spooner saying UCLA going to need a friendly whistle. Big Ten officials let Michigan State defense be physical. Dabby Cab, what is your other best bets here for us?
So I got Kentucky. I doubled up here with Kentucky. Look, I've been on both Kentucky and Ole Miss this season. Both two teams that I've been making money on have a positive record with both of them. So, it's a hard choice here. But then I look at, bets that I've made. Look, I've cashed Kentucky this year on a money line 3 times. They were a 6.5 point underdog, an 8.5 point underdog, and then last week is a 10.5 point underdog. And all 3 they've cashed for me. So there's no way I wasn't going to pass it here. I took Kentucky at +165 on the money line. Both these teams are reeling. You can look at both of them. Kentucky's lost 3 of their last 4. Ole Miss is in a bad situation too. Let me pull it back up. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. They've lost like a few in a row also. They've lost 4 of their last 5. Kentucky's lost 3 of their last 4. It's both these teams are reeling, and I think Kentucky's the better team. And after what happened against Arkansas, everybody's going to sit here and say that should never happen against Arkansas, blah, blah, blah. No, Arkansas is supposed to be a really good basketball team this year, and they have a lot of really talented players. Maybe Arkansas put it together for one game, or they're starting to put it together. I thought Arkansas was going to be a hell of a lot better than they are. So that could have just been a shining through of what Arkansas might be. Kentucky's a really good basketball team. They don't play enough defense for me, but they're going to put the points up here. Full game money line first half. First half, I got let me find my juice for you real quick.
I got it. I grabbed it for you. Kentucky first half +2.5, -110. Kentucky full game at +165 for Dabby Cab. A 3 spot for you, Dabby Cab. Thank you for rocking with us, my man. As a lot of the cappers been talking in the chat, we're now in February, which means we're about 5.5, 6 weeks away from all meeting up in San Antonio. I can't wait for it, man. Excellent work. Cab, Michigan State first half +2 -114. The double up on Kentucky full game money line +165. Dabby Cab, any last words for the Cappers supporting the show, my man?
Oh man, we'll be back tomorrow, man. I'm gonna let you and Pete keep rolling. I know how many games you guys are going through. We love you guys, man. I sent my video in for the NFL Pub Hub. Make sure everybody tunes into that. It's gonna be special. Starting 5 on Saturday. But other than that, man, I love you guys, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.
There he is, the Magic Man. Dabby Cab. We have 3 games left here for us. Let's roll into the next one on the board. Then we'll quickly go through the 7-game NBA card, be much quicker here. We have, 4 games left. Kentucky State Wildcats, 10-11, 4-6 in the Big 12 at the Arizona State Sun Devils, 12-9, 3-7 in the Big 12. We're at Desert Financial Arena in Tempe, Arizona. We have Arizona State right now -3 at -107. This opened up at -2. This is a wild line, Pete. This opened up at -2 and then went to a -1. I mean, it looked as if Kansas State was going to become the favorite, and then it flipped backwards. We've now had the 1-point move towards Arizona State. Let's get into the total here for this one. This total is right now sitting at 140. I do see 141s out there. This opened up at 141. It got up to 142.5 21 minutes ago. This has dropped 1.5 points in the last 20 minutes. This last move came 5 minutes ago. So a big, interesting move towards the under. When we get to the cash flow, 78% of tickets and 80% of cash are on the over, which is wild. And then on the spread, we have 57% tickets and 95% of the cash on Arizona State. Arizona State's lost 2 of 3, lost to Arizona 81-72. It was a wild game there. So they've lost 2 of 3, and we have Kansas State on a 3-game winning streak. Now they beat Western Virginia at home and Oklahoma State, at home. So not that important. But then they went into Iowa State and destroyed them 80-61. Situationally, Arizona State has got to bounce back after that 81-72 loss at home to Arizona. And this is the perfect team to probably do it against a team, that's won 3 in a row. Arizona State were 6.5-point dogs, and they were in that game until very, very late. Take it away, Pete. I kind of like Arizona State here. What do you think?
Yeah, at first I was thinking Kansas State, but that's just what I was thinking. Didn't bet it. And then after seeing the line movement, which is very interesting, going to be a pass for me. I'll have my eye on the game, though, but nothing pregame.
I find Arizona State very appealing. We will talk about the Wildcats, but not next. Next, we talk Mountain West action, where DJ Big Boss does it best. San Jose State, 11-12, 4-7 in conference at Fresno State. 5-17, 1-10 in conference. Save Mart Center in Fresno, California. I've actually done pretty well with Fresno State this year, and I like capping them. So let's hammer this one home. We have Fresno State off of 4 straight losses. I had them when they were at home versus Colorado State. They lost by 5. It was a nice, comfortable cover, but they just lost by 22 at Boise State. They also lost to Wyoming in overtime. So they've lost 4 straight, but they get to come back home where they look good. I mean, sure, they beat Air Force by 9, but they look good against Colorado State. San Jose has lost, 2 of their last 4 games. They won 2 of their last 3, beat Air Force and beat Wyoming. There's not too much into that. I mean, to be too proud of. Now they head back out on the road. Let's take a look here for this spot. We have the total at 147, slightly juiced to the over. This has come up from 145.5. And we get to the point spread here for this one. We have Fresno State +3 at -104. This line hasn't moved. It's moved 4 cents towards San Jose State. And we get to the cash flow here. We have Publix on Fresno State. 74% of tickets, but just 36% of cash. San Jose State is 26% of tickets and 64% of the cash. In the end, that will make it, not appealing to me. Pete, any interest here in this Mountain West clash? San Jose State Spartans at the Fresno State Bulldogs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously San Jose State's been great ATS all year long. Fresno's been very good as well. Leading under, but that's about it at 147.
A lean towards the under. Let's go into. We have 2 games left here before we get in the NBA. So let's talk the next spot on the board. We have Arizona Wildcats 15-6, 9-1 in the Big 12 at the BYU Cougars 15-6, 6-4 in the Big 12. That leads us back to our cappers who are making moves here. I thought we had action. Yes, BYU being backed by Wine Time Sports. So he's on BYU here. Let's set this one up. Arizona coming off that win over Arizona State. They've won 4 straight games. They beat Arizona State on the road. It was a really passionate affair. I wonder if this could be a tricky spot for them. BYU's won 4 straight, coming off a nice win, at UCF. Sometimes a tough place to play. They won back-to-back games at home, beat Baylor, beat Cincinnati all in the last week, went to Colorado and beat up on them. And I know they're a bad basketball team. So both teams have won 4 straight. And the question is Arizona in a letdown spot after that big win over Arizona State? We have BYU -3 at -108. They opened up at 1.5. Now we have a 3. This was a 2.5 for a minute, but now it's a 3. So it's a real legit move towards BYU. When we get to the total here, we have it sitting at 152, juice to the over at -115. So we've had 5 cents of movement towards the over. That's it. And then when we get to the cash flow here, we have 53% of tickets, but just 37% of the cash on BYU. So the bigger bet's coming on Arizona, but this line moving towards BYU, 55 and 58 on the over. Take it away for us here, Pete. Wildcats, Cougars, second last game on the board, Provo, Utah.
Yeah, this was I took BYU at 1.5. Arizona's been great ATS, but I took BYU. Nothing crazy, but now it's up to 3. Oof, yeah. I took them at 1.5, which is, I guess, nice to see. I don't know if I want to give them a 3 though. That's a little iffy.
Well, we're going to talk about this last game, Pete, and then we'll roll through, and then you can tell us what spots. We'll let you roll through. I've taken a bunch of notes, but we'll let you talk about what spots you're making official here. This is our final spot on the board. I will talk about what I expect to bet as soon as this show's over. So let's roll. Final game of 34 here. Excellent work, Pete. We have Mountain West action. Boise State Broncos 15-7, 7-4 in conference. The UNLV Rebels 11-11, 5-6 in conference. Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Boise State 2 straight wins, both at home, both against weak opponents. Nevada's not that weak, but 66-56 over Nevada. And then they beat up on Fresno State. Now they head back out on the road. Last time we saw them on the road, they went up against the two of the top teams in the conference. They lose badly at New Mexico by 19. That was the spot where Spooner was heavy on New Mexico. And then they lose at Colorado State 75-72. So there's no shame in those 2 road losses. UNLV's now lost 4 straight games. They lost at home to Wyoming in an embarrassing loss. They played excellent against New Mexico in a 75-73 loss. They tried hard at Utah State, losing 76-71. That was a rematch there. And then they lost at Nevada 71-65. So they've lost 4 straight, but they're probably better than their conference record indicates. Let's get into the line history here for this last spot on the board. UNLV Boise State total is at 141, -116 to the under. So we got 6 cents of movement towards the under. And then on the point spread, we have UNLV +3 and -113. They opened up at +2.5. This was a 3.5. It took about 3 hours for a 1-point move towards Boise. And when we get to the cash flow, we have no help, no information on the spread, but we know 67% tickets, 66% cash on the over. Take it away for us, Pete. Final game on the board: Broncos, Rebels.
Yeah, that one is. Let me see. Where was I looking at? Yeah, lean UNLV, but definitely a pass. I'm still thinking about this Arizona BYU game. I think I'm gonna have to pass on that one and just have 2 official plays.
Lean towards UNLV here for Pete. Nasty, I'm really sorry to hear that. There's nothing anyone can say, but we love you, man. We can't wait to watch you slap the water out of Jose's hands in San Antonio. I think that's one of the most things I'm looking forward to. By the way, don't show up and look at Nasty Nate with water in your hand. It's a lesson that maybe you don't know if you've never been to Pubapalooza. But sorry to hear that, man. Thinking about you, and it's important. So he says, cherish the time with friends and family because tomorrow is not promised. And it's well put. Well put. Sorry you have to go through that. Let's review all action here. I'll quickly go through my plan of attack. But first, shout out to Justin McKelvey. Stacks play today. Dayton -8.5 and Iowa over 155.5. Shout out to our guy, Justin. Stacks. And look at our guy, Dan Kelly says, Viva la low baggin'. Happy birthday to Dan Kelly, spending his 70th birthday in sunny Florida today. All he wants is a Cavs victory and cover. I love it. He says, if I'd known I was going to be alive this long, I'd have taken better care of myself. Our friend, Dan Kelly. What a call on Atkinson, Coach of the Year in Cleveland. That was 20-1 when he gave it out to us, Pete. 20-1. I mean, this guy's a monster, absolute monster. 2 straight wins for Brooklyn. Do we have a chance at this, Dan? Do we have a chance at this? We still may. Shout out to our guy, Dan Kelly. Happy birthday to Dan Kelly. Gerald Jones on Florida minus 11.5 and Miami over Ohio, Central Michigan over 144. Spooner on Marquette plus 3, Billikens money line, Miami of Ohio money line, and his NCAA play of the day is the Bonnies plus 2.5. He's cashed 7 of 8 of his play of the days. Kong's Clips play of the day. Houston first half. Wine Time Sports on Central Michigan money line, Iowa plus 6.5, BYU minus 2.5. Jeff Slaughter on the Hoosiers plus 9, Davidson plus 9.5, Kentucky plus 4.5, and Utah State St. Louis money line parlay. I am interested in Marquette. I'm going to take a look at Purdue. Loshak moved on Kentucky first half plus 2.5. Then I have some interest in St. Louis. Loshak moved on Drake first half money line. I have some interest in the Golden Gophers. Now, Troy Torrance and the bullishness on Florida State here is going to make me take another look at them. The Bobcats I'm interested in. The Northern Illinois Huskies I'm interested in. Central Michigan I'm interested in. Buffalo first half may not make it. Either will possibly Akron first half, but Houston first half full game. Utah State first half full game. Eastern Illinois is a smash and grab for me. I'm going to have a ton invested. I have some interest in Wisconsin. I'll take a longer look at that. Northwestern I'm going to bet. Arizona State, I'm going to bet. BYU, I plan on betting, but I got to really decide if it's too much 3. Pete has a lean to UNLV. Dabby Cab gave us Michigan State first half plus 2, Kentucky first half plus 2.5, and Kentucky full game money line. Pete, anything else you want to make?
No, not really. Just a lot of halftime, first half, second half stuff that I do, but pregame, just those 2.
There you go. 34 games broken down, and we move on to NBA where we flip the switch a little bit. Pete, you set them up for me, so let's roll into NBA. We got 7 games in NBA before we put a bow on this one.
Sure. I have not looked at the NBA card much at all. My favorite play on the card, though, is definitely Cavs -2 because I just found out Dan Kelly is on it. First game, though, Dallas and Philly. Philly small favorite. Dallas, of course, off the block, lost Cleveland. The huge trade. How's this going to affect things? I don't know. Maybe you guys do. Philly off the straight up lost to Boston, but they have been covering game in and game out. Small favorite here. What do we think? I don't know. What do you think?
We don't have time to talk about the trade. Hopefully we'll get that opportunity to talk about it at some point because I was at the bar. The headline came out around midnight and I was blown away. I just couldn't. I was just, what's it? Flabbergasted. Let's call it that. I couldn't believe it here. Nico Harrison, God, putting his whole life on the line here. His trades have been panned for a while and they've all come out well, but this one is nuts. To believe that you couldn't create a bidding war here is shocking to me. But I can't wait to talk more about it. We can't do that right now. Let's quickly touch on the line history here. We have the Mavs +4 -105. They opened up a +1.5. Obviously, AD not going to be in the lineup. So we've had a 2.5 point move towards the Sixers. On the total here for this one, we have a 228.5 -113 to the under. This opened up at 225, so the 3.5 point move towards the under. 65% of tickets, 69% of cash is on the Sixers, and lines moving in their direction. 92% tickets, 94% cash on the over here. BJ says Nico Harrison is a lunatic. By the way, play of the day from my dude is Boise State money line and Marquette alt spread. Sweaty Butcher's birthday pick is the Celtics money line. I don't think it's going to be a big, wonderful birthday gift here. Yeah, copy and paste that as well as copy and paste DC Capper, who's on the Rockets -9. Let's get that copied and pasted here as well. So, God, there's so much to talk about with the Mavericks and the Lakers. But here we go. Dallas 2-3 over the past 5, 12th fastest pace in the league, 100.6 possessions a game, shooting 46.6 from the field and 36.6 from three. There's been lots of different stories about how, exactly Kyrie feels about this whole situation. Philadelphia 3-2, 23rd fast pace, 98.4 possessions a game, shooting 49.2 from the field and 40% from three. Mavericks coming off their second straight loss, a debacle, 144-101 at the Cavaliers on Sunday. If there wasn't this craziness hanging over the squad, you would think that, well, it's got to be a bounce back spot. But the Sixers just seem to play more than the sum of their parts, handling their business without Embiid and without Paul George as well. Let's just see what happened at shoot around. If there's any information that we need. Wow, Embiid game time decision now. I thought we expected him to be out, questionable. Okay, and he's been upgraded after going through practice yesterday. I wonder if I have that in my notes. I'll check. We have a Paul George out, and then Eric Gordon game time decision and Drummond game time decision. So maybe that's the market move. Drummond is questionable, but I guess the market move is just these guys being questionable. Interesting. That's a surprise here. For Dallas, Washington, Powell, Lively out, AD out, all expected. So, which means the starting power forward will be Olivier Maxence Prosper, is what the expectation is here. Mavs gave up 50 first quarter points and 91 in the first half. I mean, Cleveland went for a franchise record 26 threes. This is game 4 of a 5-game trip. With all this hanging over their head, I just not sure exactly how to expect any kind of bounce back. 76ers coming off their second straight loss. They played well, 118-110 home to the Celtics on Sunday. They led by 26 late in the third quarter. Maxey went for 34. Yabusele went for 21. Ricky Council went for 11, 8, and 7. And, of course, now both practiced Monday, and the idea was that they could be returning to the court this week. We know George already ruled out. I guess what I'd want to do here, but then the trade's still hanging over it. My only thought would be wait for Embiid to be announced in and then, move on the Mavs. My dude saying Embiid might play today. Wild. What are your thoughts here, Pete? Any interest in Mavericks, Sixers?
Nope, got nothing.
Kind of hanging over the team makes things tricky.
Got nothing.
All right, let's roll on the next one.
Okay, next game on the card is we got Boston, Cleveland. Dan Kelly loves Cleveland. I wonder what number he got, though, because line moved a little bit in Boston's favor, right? Boston still continues to be, in general, overvalued, and Cleveland has been covering by margins recently, top two teams. But, Boston, down big to Philly, came back and got the win, but they have not been a good ATS team for a while now. Cleveland rolling now. Cleveland, first line I saw was like 2 or something, but now it's down to heading towards Pick'em. So I don't know. Dan Kelly likes Cleveland. I don't know what I think right now.
We've also had a move towards the over. On the spread, 41% of tickets, 43% of cash on the Cavs. On the money line, 67 and 54 on the Cavs. 83% tickets, 83% cash on the over. And Sweaty Butcher says, we don't need against the spread today, and saturated on Cleveland first half and full game. But BJ's best bet is on the Boston Celtics, a +2 here. Both teams 4-1 over their past 5. Boston playing 17th fastest pace, 98.8 possessions a game, 47.5 from the field, and 40% from 3. The Cavs 4-1 also playing 13th fastest pace, 53% from the field. Look at that, 53 from the field, 38.8% from 3. My dude talking about that spot that we just talked about says, see if Embiid or Drummond plays. But that is the plan here at that point. And Wager Detective says Celtics had to fight tooth and nail to beat the 76ers the other day. Saturday says Cavs are real at home. Celtics coming off their third straight win, 118-110 at the Sixers on Sunday. We touched on it already. Boston overcoming that 26-point deficit. That tied the largest deficit NBA team has overcome this season. Celtics were 54-20 over the final 74 points of that game. But this final game of a 3-game road trip, an important one. Cavs coming off their 4th straight win. They dominate the Mavs at home on Sunday. 91 points in the first half, franchise record, 26 threes. We talked about that already. They've also made at least 10 3-pointers in 54 straight games. The Rockets have the NBA record at 97. 4-game winning streak. They're the best 3-point shooting team in the league. They average 16.3 a game, and the Celtics average 17.8 per game. This is the first of a back-to-back. They play at Detroit tomorrow night. This is also the third meeting between these teams. Remember, Cleveland was 15-0 until they lost to Boston 120-117. And that was November 19th. And then 2 weeks later, the Cavs won 115-111 at home. So Cleveland 24-3 at home. But Boston, as we've seen all year, has been better on the road than it's been at home. These teams take so many threes. And after the phenomenal performance we saw from, both squads, especially Cleveland in that last game, I was honestly thinking that the under would be in play, that this would be an intense spot, and Cleveland's on the first half of a back-to-back, but this thing is just climbing, and who am I to say that this is a ridiculous move from 236 to 239? So, but my thought was going to be on the under. We have half the cappers on the Cavs, half the cappers on the Celtics. I don't feel like there's a sure shot spot for me in this one, but BJ's best bet is on the Celtics. Anything you want to make official, Pete? I don't know if I want to move on anything here. I'd rather move on to Rockets. Let's move on to Rockets Nets.
Rockets Nets. Houston on a back-to-back lost it at the Knicks, but the Knicks, they covered, but the Knicks, I was on that one. I took the Knicks to come back and get the win, which is not looking good for a while, but they did get it. And the Nets, off of 2 nice dog road wins. The last one was at Houston. They won by 12. So presumably, there's got to be some kind of professional pride here. That's not a joke. Professional pride in the NBA. Houston, maybe with some revenge, or a massive road favorite here. Their defense has not been getting it done, though, so maybe that's something fundamental. I don't know. Free play, sure, I'd put it on Houston -10 or whatever it is.
Sengun is out. Landale is questionable. Sengun is probable. Sorry, tripping. Sengun is probable. Landale is questionable. Van Fleet, Smith, and Eason are out. That's what I meant to say. For the Nets, we know the situation. Thomas out, Simmons out, Johnson out, Clowney out, Bogdanovich out. Starting 5, Russell, Keon Johnson, Williams, Wilson, and Claxton. Let's get into the spot here. Houston, both teams 2-3 over their past 5. Both teams playing at the 5th slowest, bottom 5 slowest pace in the league. Brooklyn playing at the slowest pace in the league over the last 5 games, 93.9 possessions a game, shooting 41.9 from the field and just 29.8 from 3. Both teams are playing poorly, shooting ball poorly from 3. Houston 33.5 last 5 games, Brooklyn 29.8 last 5 games. Line history wise here, we have this total at 212 -110 to the under. This has climbed up from 209. Had a big move towards the over. One I don't quite understand. And then on the point spread here, we have Brooklyn +10 at -101, +10 at -101. They opened up at 9. We had a 1-point move towards Houston. Looks like we're going to get more than that. Dan Kelly says, got to take the points. I agree, but I don't think we need to bet this now. 65% of tickets, 69% cash on the Rockets line moving towards them. 96 and 96 on the over. We've seen that climbing quickly. As Pete said, second half of back-to-back, also their third game in 4 nights. Brooklyn comes in off their second straight win, and that was against these Rockets. I guess that's – so they beat the Rockets 110-98 at Houston on Saturday night. In between, the Rockets have to go play the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, and then, here we go at Brooklyn, which I think sets up nice for Brooklyn. I think you take Brooklyn with the points here. I mean, that was I'm not going to take it yet, but I think it's how does that not take the energy out of how is this not? I mean, the only thing that would make this better, obviously, is if the Rockets had beat the Nets, which didn't happen. And Dan Kelly says they went out last night also. I don't see. I'm going to wait here, but I expect. And Saturated says if Rockets don't blow that game last night, they'd be on the next. I agree with that, but that had to have taken a lot of energy out. So I'm very, very interested in moving on Brooklyn full game. Houston wins but doesn't cover would be the expectation. Justin McKelvey on Brooks over 12.5 points. Any interest here? Do we move on to Knicks Raptors, Pete?
No. Move on to the Knicks Raptors. And this is an interesting one. The Raptors have been great ATS, suddenly covered again in their last game. The Knicks, again, on that back-to-back, came from behind to beat Houston last night, but they didn't cover. Now they're a road favorite here against Toronto. Raps, great ATS, getting some points. Again, they've gotten some injured players back, and, now they're pretty good, I think. Take the Raps, right? Why not?
RJ Barrett is out for this one. He's entered concussion protocol. we wondered what would happen after he hit his head, against the Clips. So he's entered concussion protocol. Then Boucher is a game time decision. He is sick. He can be very helpful off the bench at times, especially if he's hitting his threes. For the Knicks, of course, Robinson and Anunoby out. But then they've got game time decisions on the second half of back-to-back. Now, Cat is probable. So I guess no concern with Karl Anthony Towns. Josh Hart is probable. So Josh Hart will be in. He's only missed one game this year. Then Mikal Bridges is probable. So all of the questionable guys are going to be in. And then RJ Barrett out. And honestly, I don't mind RJ Barrett being out. And with RJ Barrett being out and all of the Knicks being announced in, it's interesting the way this line has moved. This opened up with the Raptors +5, then they moved to +6. It opened up around midnight. Then this goes down to 4.5. This was a 4.5 this morning. Now we're at a 5.5. So, from the end, it's juiced to the Knicks. So we'll probably get a 6 here. And when we get to the cash flow for this spot, 67% of tickets, 79% of cash on the Knicks. 86 and 82 on the over. I think this is a wait and bet the Raptors. I think wait and bet the Raptors, and that's exactly my plan. So that's going to be my plan for both Brooklyn and Toronto. I'm going to wait. Another thing when RJ's not out there is there's just much better defense being played and less offense. So, this total right now has dropped from 231.5 down to 228.5. I probably, a lot being based on, RJ not being in the lineup. But and the only problem with the moving on the under now, even though I am interested in it, is that this has dropped from 234 at the book we used to play poker at. So I can't do that. I mean, obviously. Now, this went from 234 at 3:08 p.m. to 230.5 at 3:28 p.m. So obviously the sharps came in, with limits and moved immediately on the under. But I like the Raptors here, but I'm going to wait. 6 would be nice. I wonder if a 6.5 could come. And I do have interest in the under. I'm going to keep an eye on it, but that will be just interest. But I at this point, wait. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to move on both Brooklyn and Toronto and fade the Knicks and the Rockets, who were in a very, very, very contentious basketball game last night. So that's the plan. Pete, you want to add anything, or do we roll into Heat Bulls?
Nope. Yeah, Miami Bulls. Bulls a small home dog here. Miami off a straight up road win. They're slumping a bit ATS, but the lineup change seems like it's helping them and improving the overall morale of the team. The Bulls, kind of up and down. They, of course, recently traded away the leading scorer. So there's a big trade there that is affecting them or might not be affecting them. I don't know if it's going to hurt or help. Hard to say. Wait and see. Pass for me.
Yeah, the Levine trade was something that they'd wanted to do for a long time now. So Levine out. So it's Giddey, Lonzo. I mean, we know Lonzo's not going to be in there for a long. Kobe, Ayo, and Vooch. For the Heat, Hero, but Robinson is a game time decision. All these big trades have happened, and we're still waiting for the Butler shoe to drop. Duncan Robinson is probable here with that hip contusion. So the issue is more with the Bulls. Collins out, Horton Tucker, a game time decision. He's listed as doubtful, so not that matters that much. But Horton Tucker not going to be there. So missing some pieces. This is an interesting game. You're right. It'd be you want to get an idea. Maybe Saturated or Troy can help us with the idea of are they happy that Zach LaVine? Is that the underwhelming theme? And Saturated's in the chat right now. Are they happy? Shout out to Rod Zawacki also rolling with us. Dan Kelly said Giddey's going to be a really good point guard in a couple of years. So we have a total at 228.5, juice to the over at -108, and that's where it opened, 228.5. And we get to the point spread. Here we have Chicago +3.5 at -108. They opened up at +3.5 anyway, so that's where they stand right now. The Bulls have been so good to me this year, and I don't want that to get in the way of anything, but 35% of tickets, 33% of cash on the Bulls, and this line's not moving towards the Heat. I have interest in the Bulls here. I imagine that this, 83% tickets, 74% cash on the over. It's similar to the Heat without Barrett. You take Levine off the Bulls, you're going to get better defense and less offense. So I find the under appealing. And that under had no movement. Is that right? That 228.5.
Yeah, nothing.
No movement. It had dropped and then it came back. Miami 27th fastest pace in the league. Chicago second fastest pace. But how does that change without Levine in the lineup? Miami shooting poorly, 45.3 from the field and 33.2 from three. Chicago shooting very well, 37.9 from three. But you think those numbers might drop. Saturday took the Bulls and the over, so maybe I could just leave the total alone. But I like the Bulls here. I like the Bulls here to take care of business at plus 3.5. I feel like my card's coming together. Nets and Raptors I may wait for. And then Bulls plus 3.5, I probably move on earlier. We have 2 games left on today's show here. And Mel with her best bets, Habs -1. I love it. Flyers money line. I love it. Can't believe it's plus 126 now. It makes me a little uncomfortable, but I love it. And Oilers money line in the under 7.5 plus 105. Great stuff, Mel. Thank you for sharing that with us. So let's roll on, my man. Next up for us, Lakers Clippers.
Yep. And Luka's not going to be ready for the Lakers, so he will still be out. Lakers back from the East Coast. They, did great there, right? Covered 5 or 6 out of those 7 games, depending on what line you got. Clips also back from the East Coast. Lakers, first line I saw was, 8.5 or so. Now it's up to 9. Lakers plus 9. Why not? Let's take it before Luka comes.
I agree with the sentiment, and I thought about it as well. This total's at 221. It dropped. It's come up from 219.5, but I think it went higher than that, didn't it? No. So it's come up from 219.5. So it's climbed. It did drop a half point just a second ago. And then we have the Lakers. You can get to 9. I'm looking at a plus 8.5. It did get to 9, and that was deemed too much. About 30 minutes came back to 8.5. I'm kind of with you, on this here. I really am.
I'll make it official. I'll take 9 minus 114. Whatever. Let's do it.
Okay, Loshak on the Lakers plus 9 at minus 115. I like where you're at here. It's a 50-50 situation with the cash flow. A little bit 56% of cash though on the Clippers. I guess I'm a little surprised about that. I mean, to me, this is the spot where LeBron wants to prove that, he can take this team to great places. He is probable here. Everybody knows the writing on the wall that, this is Luka's Lakers. This is not LeBron's Lakers. We have a healthy Clippers team. It's a fascinating capping situation. I think that everything is still in play with the pace of play, especially for both teams. They're both playing at a similar pace, 21st and 20th in the NBA. 98.5 possessions a game for the Lakers, 98.6 for the Clippers. Lakers shooting the ball really well, 54 from the field and 37 from 3. Clippers shooting the ball pretty well as well, 49.5 from the field, 36.3 from 3. Saturated says Zubac will eat. It's Jackson Hayes who's going to have to get in the way of that happening. Also, Gabe Vincent is a game time decision as well, but he's been upgraded to probable. An interesting spot. Lakers coming off their 6 win in 7 games, so we have the trade hanging over everything. And the Clippers coming off having their 2-game winning streak snapped, the 115-108 loss at the Raptors on Sunday. That's not easy for the Clippers to fly back yesterday and then from Toronto, and then play immediately against the Lakers. But the Lakers, this is important. I know the trade's hanging over everything, but that extra day for the Lakers is hugely important. They flew back on Sunday, so they had a day of rest where the Clippers didn't. Rod Swag says Lakers just lost their best D. Says he likes the over. Well, I'm very interested in joining you on the Lakers here. We expect LeBron is now probable from questionable, my dude. So I expect him to play, which would mean that my dude would be on Norman Powell points and rebounds together at 24.5. I'm interested in joining you, Pete. I'm interested in joining you. I'm also interested in waiting to see exactly what happens to this line. I'm very interested in joining you. Pete, moving on Lakers plus 9. I feel like my card's coming together. Let's talk about the final game on a very, very long show. We may not keep trying to cap every basketball game on the college market. We tried 34 today. We did 29 last week and it was tough. But let's talk about last game on the board, Pete. Pacers, Blazers.
Well, both these teams have been great. Pacers, ATS. Pacers did lose their last one, ATS, although they got it. They got the win straight up. They've been great ATS for a while now, but Portland rolling, right? 8 straight covers in the last 3 by huge margins. And here they are again as a home dog getting a bunch of points I don't really love fading Indy at the moment, but why not? Portland plus 5.5. Why not?
Two teams on the second half of back-to-back. The fact that they can beat the Suns twice in a row is a huge, huge message to everybody that the Blazers might be for real. Sitting here plus 5.5, minus 1. They opened up at 5, so we have a half-point move towards the Pacers. When we get to the total here in this one, we have 234.5. This has come up from 231.5. But we have both teams on the second half of back-to-backs here. Let's take a look at the make sure that everybody is in, because they've had the shoot around already. So let's take a quick look here. So everybody's good. But Turner is a game time decision. He didn't play last night, so you'd think that he would play tonight. You would think. And then Thibault is a game time decision as well. And, but again, he didn't play last night. But what does it matter? I mean, he hasn't played all year, so who cares? Not Flesh On says, take a look at Portland team total over to you, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
My dude looking at Blazers money line. We've had a half-point move towards the Pacers, and we have 59% of tickets, 66% cash on the Blazers, 86 and 88 on the over. This is who's going to dictate pace? Because the Pacers have last 5 games, 4th fastest league, 103.1 possessions a game, where the Blazers are 29th in pace, 95.8 possessions a game. Look at what the Blazers doing from 3, 40.9% from 3 over the last 5 games. Is that something that they're capable of, keeping on? Robert Franklin moving on. Simmons under Simons under 19.5 points, 8 and over 16.5 points. So, but the Pacers shooting the ball well too, 51 from the field, 36.4 from 3. They win 112-111 at Utah last night. That's a 4th straight game, but it took a lot of energy. This is their 3rd game in 4 nights for both squads. This is the 2nd game of a 4-game road trip for the Pacers. And the Blazers won 8 of 9. I find this a very, very difficult one. I'm pretty comfortable letting it go. I find it very difficult, but my card's set. I know exactly how I'm going to hammer this. Kelly McKinnon says Pacers win. Portland covers. Aubrey Travis looking at backing the Blazers. Rod Zwack says Portland in home games versus good shooting teams making more than 46% of their shots, 12-2 against the spread. And that is this Pacers team right now shooting 51% from the field over the last 5 games. My dude also on Scoot Henderson, points, rebounds, and assists all day. I'm going to stay off the Pacers Blazers, but my cards come together. We have Pete moving on the Lakers. We have BJ's best bet on the Celtics. We have a very contentious spot there. But I'm going to wait on the Nets. I'm going to wait on the Raptors. I do have some interest in the under. Maybe it's moved too much. I may move on the Bulls right now, and I'm going to wait on the Lakers. So my card is coming together. Pete on the Lakers +9 officially. And that is our show for today. It was a very, very long one. Thank you guys for sticking with us.
Jim, I actually got to run. Do you mind if I dip out before we
Not at
close
all.
it out?
Not at all,
Thanks
my
so
man.
much. Thanks, everyone. See you all next Tuesday.
There he is, Pistol Pete here. We'll review all action. Jose, I don't know if you want to jump on back with us, my man, as we put a bow on the show. Bruins money line for Pete. Then he's on the under 6.5 in Columbus, Buffalo. I'm going to have to bet Buffalo right now. Ottawa, Tampa. I'll give you my whole action here, but I'm just going over Pete's action. Devils team total under 3.5 -135. And Oilers first period goal. He's got Oilers first period goal at -203, as well as another first period goal. That's Habs first period goal as well. He's also on the Ducks team total over 2.5 -110. He's on the first period over 1.5 in Montreal and San Jose. Jose in business here. You want to jump on with me, Jose, as we put a bow on this bad boy? How are you, my man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, man. Good. I'm really excited about what we're doing for the Super Bowl video here. JP says you like abs or Habs more for the straight up win. God, I love them both so much. But the Habs is the easier one, losing 5 straight and going up against this disheveled Sharks team with all the injuries. Now, the Sharks have been off since Thursday, so they could be a little healthier than the injury report states. But I guess the Habs is the easier spot. The Habs have to stop. They can't go into the Four Nations break with all of these losses. But I got to bet the Sabres now. That's the only thing I need to add in NHL. I love the card, which again I told you guys doesn't always mean I have a nice big day, but I have my action is a Wild plus 111, Panthers minus 118, Knights minus 1 at plus 115, Flyers at plus 120, Avalanche minus 1 at plus 117, Penguins at plus 132, Oilers minus 101, Kraken minus 113, Canadians at plus 103. And then I moved on the Lightning minus 1. I got a bad line there, minus 114, but I don't really care that much. Kochekov is confirmed for the Canes. So that's NHL for today. Then in college basketball, follow me on X because I'm going to now figure out exactly how I'm going to handle things. We went through 34 games here, and it'd be interesting to see what Pete ends up adding to his card. But here he's got Kentucky first half plus 2.5 at minus 112. And he has the first half money line. Where the hell is it? Oh, I think I blew past it. It's got the first half money line here on... What was it again? By the way, Troy Torrance, Drake, first half money line on Drake. Nasty Nate says, how do we let Pete get away without a Dan Kelly birthday bet? That is, I did keep Pete here for a long time.
Pete had to skedaddle, Nate. He was out of here. He's got those Cougars to tame.
Rod Zawacki, Washington money line is the 10-star play of the day. He's riding Logan Thompson. So I will have now. Look, I don't like going up against any of these cappers here, but I told you guys I would fade the Capitals for 4 straight games. I'm 2-0 on this 4 straight run, so I'm fading them again. Now it wasn't easy. So that's NHL here. Then we have college basketball, which I'm going to sit with here. But the ones that jumped out at me the most here, without a doubt, were where is it here? Houston first half full game, Utah first half full game. Eastern Illinois seems like a smash and grab. And then hearing everybody on Florida State, and I love Northwestern in this spot. I'm going to have a ton of action tonight, which I'm excited about. And then in NBA, we just went over that. So that is our show for today. Again, thank you to everybody who sent in videos for the Super Bowl. I'm excited, really excited here. Next year, we'll try to get around to it a little earlier. I love my action for the Super Bowl. I'm locked in, feeling good about it. And I'm pumped up. We got a huge week ahead of us. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, betting with the bag. And then Saturday, we have enormous action with starting 5 and UFC 313. And of course, UFC and Talking Hands both pop off this evening. And then for me, I cannot wait. I absolutely cannot wait for Super Sunday. Super Sunday coming up soon.
Yeah, it should be fun. Shout out to Noah Gray. Will be my first touchdown scorer. So God bless him.
I loved it. I love it all. So Jose, thank you for jumping on with us. And now you're making moves too. So you're not going to be. Do we know the situation here over the next couple of days?
Yeah, I'm not going to be here for the next 2 days, 3 days. I'll be doing my good son thing, being with my old mom. She had back surgery in Houston, so I've got to drive up to Houston tomorrow and go be with her and do the whole thing. So that'll be fun. But yeah, I will. I'll be giving you graphics hopefully. But who knows what that Wi-Fi in the hospital is like?
The graphics would be extremely helpful. Extremely helpful, and then that will give you a lot of time there to work on all these videos. Have you taken a look at what you've?
Yeah, that was what I was doing throughout the show today. Yeah, I was going through them all.
Any videos jump out that were great?
No, I haven't gotten to really hear them yet. I just wanted to make sure I have them. I was doing both at the same time. So, but not yet. I tell you, Trotwan did have a very interesting introduction.
Yeah. Trotwan, he's smooth, man. He's a smooth operator. I heard DJ Big Boss is nice.
Okay, well, I can't wait. I haven't gotten there yet, so it'll be fun.
Okay, so thank you guys so much, all of you in the chat. I copied and pasted so much of your action. Thank you very much, man. Andrew G says chat always goes crazy with no graphics. Jose fights a good fight, man. Don't worry, he fights a good fight for us. If he can do it, he'll do it. Morgan Spooner, Rez Mob, my dude, Rod Zawacki, Billy Friedrich, Jermaine, Justin McKelvey, Mr. Belvedere, Nasty Nate, Jay Peasy, Aubrey Travis, Billy Friedrich, Rez Mob, Robert Franklin, Dan Kelly, happy birthday. A great guy Dan Kelly is.
Yeah, shout out to you, Dan Kelly. Do you have a birthday pick for old Dan Kelly?
Yeah. Let's I would say that the birthday pick here would be. Give me 1 second.
Well, Dan, from me
Oh,
to
yeah.
you, Dan, I'll give you the Boston Celtics as your birthday pick from me to you, Dan. That's the goodness of my heart, Dan, for you.
Oh, I got the birthday pick. Let me just see what. I think it's a plus money spot. Let me just pop it in here.
Yeah,
My
and shout out to you, Spoons.
My birthday pick would be the Vegas Montreal money line parlay. Let's see what that would come out to. Vegas and then L'Habitant. Wow, line moving briskly towards that's plus 159. That's my birthday pick to our friend Dan Kelly. Aubrey Travis says give Montreal -1. I'd rather go the Vegas Montreal moneyline parlay. Get a nice plus 159 side.
We knew it was going to be in there, though. Aubrey, we knew that was going to be in there. And by the way, shout out to you, Nasty Nate. Hope you and your family and extended family are doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I won't be. I'm going to bet the Sabres right this second. I'm going to run out, pick up Ella, come back and get my college basketball bets in. So that will be my plan. Thank you all so much for rocking with us. Jose, you will be missed. We respect you looking after your mama. And I'll be in touch with you, of course, because we got these very exciting Super Bowl videos to come out. Copied and paste all that, my dude. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you all for supporting our show on Pub Sports Radio. Thank you to Peter Loshak for these Tuesdays. And Jose, my friend, can you please let us into the future?
Yep, we've got a busy week this week. Super Bowl's coming, and I want to see where everyone's at. So shout out to you guys in the chat. We appreciate all you guys. And thanks for watching. Like Jimmy said, we've got a loaded week coming up with the Super Bowl live stream as the capper on Sunday. So tune in. I'll be there with you at some point, Jimmy, and I cannot wait. So till then, let's go get that money and leche a los bookmakers.